Trusty Ape, happy hump day. Welcome, Secular X and Lil of all trades. Good to see you here. Um, and all newcomers. Oh, hey, KC, good to see you out there. Um, and Coleist, good to see you. This is the Trusty Ape channel. If you didn't know, I've been over here for a minute, but I kind of roll around in the trenches a little bit, or whatever, however you describe that. But welcome to everybody. I am here for a specific purpose tonight, which is to read this response to Nancy's letter. This comes from AJ Ruley, Ways to Human. And AJ asked me to do this uh, merely in response to my previous coverage of this matter. So I need to put all the things in here, right? So I myself, some people know me around the community. I've been roaming around these parts for a while, but I'm not a big name or anything. I don't really seek um, any of these. I'm not a professional by any means, like or whatever. Uh, but I enjoy making content, right? So I have not had any previous personal relationships or interactions with AJ before this, aside from maybe a friendly hello in a side chat somewhere. Uh, but uh, but and sorry as well. I do not have any other affiliations, right? I am not now, nor have I ever been personally or professionally affiliated with the atheist community of Austin, with Nashville Nuns. I've never in my life attended an atheist convention anywhere, which is regrettable. I would like to at some point. That would be cool. Um, but regardless, I have no, as I said before, I have no skin in this game, no dog in this fight. I stand nothing to gain by taking the position that I take, and that is um, why AG has asked me to read this. I do have some other things that I will address in later streams regarding other community members involved. I definitely think we're at the point where I will have to do that. But this is not the stream for that. This is the stream where I am going to read and honestly, objectively critique AJ's response and the information that has been provided to me, and I might compare it with some prior information I have received through other channels. Basically the stuff that we've covered here, but I'm basically just going to try to view this from the most objective lens possible. Um, so, I mean, I guess with that being said, the other thing I should say is I am no longer watching the side chat, and that is by design. Um, and I saw AJ is here, of course. Great to see you. And just as a side note, although AJ I've given AJ full permission to moderate the chat for this stream in any way that she might see fit. Um, and I am currently going to be reevaluating my friendships with some individuals in this online community. And so take that for what it is. I'm the trusty ape. Um, once again, I'm a non-biased observer. I have not been offered anything, right? I'm not going to gain anything financially or otherwise through this. And the only thing that was, said, which I already kind of knew because I'm a grown-ass man who's been around this community for a bit, is that this might get a little bit of attention. And so here we are, right? But I am not here for attention. I seek the truth. If you saw the thumbnail, I consider myself to be a Stoic. That is the philosophy I try to adhere to. And so being unbiased, unemotional, and not allowing those things to cloud my judgment is an endeavor of mine in my personal and professional life. So I'm not gonna be too long-winded about it. You know, hopefully that was the thing. I said the things. I think there was another thing I meant to say, but we'll probably get back to it later. And so now here's the document. The document is linked in the description for transparency. Why is my screen all fucked up? Sorry. I'm like, now my screen's messed up. Okay, well, that doesn't matter. I can still read the letter, and I assume this is running smoothly since nobody told me my mic is fucked up. So we'll go ahead and get on to the content here. Um, so right off the bat, um, oh yeah, and like thank you all for coming and like, share, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. We're dealing with an important issue, and I guess I can preface it this way by saying we are talking about a controversy that has been ongoing and fueled by certain actors in and about the online atheist community and events which occurred at NanoCon of last year. And now some people are trying to shut down NanoCon upcoming this year, as well as deplatforming, defaming, and harassing and bullying as many people as they can on their way in that endeavor. So, uh, again, some of these actors may be addressed in later streams, but this is not that stream. And so that's your backstory. Um, Nancy of Apostate Sisters was allegedly assaulted by Elliot, Secular Rarity, at the NanoCon 2025. And so this is a response to many back and forths between many different people around the community and AJ's understanding and organization of events as she's gathered them here. And so it says, again, this document was compiled by AJ Ruley, Ways to Human, I and me in this document. I can be reached, and there's the email address there at, oh, I'll just read it, wth.waystohuman@gmail.com. A notarized letter signed by Nancy Viswanathan of Apostate Sisters, 44, has been made public regarding her accusations against Elliot Martin, Secular Rarity, 31, at NanoCon 2025. This document addresses some statements found in this letter. Here's the full letter at the tiny URL here, which is within the document. So all the links are provided in this file. If you click on that. The blue text screenshots in this document are excerpts from Nancy's letter dated February 25th, 2026. To whom it may concern, on the night of July 25th, 2025, during NanoCon 2025, a horrifying incident took place within the concrete back stairwell of the lodge at Montgomery Bell in Burns, Tennessee. This is incorrect. July 25th, 2025 was a Friday. The alleged incident took place on Saturday, July 26th, 2025. Regarding privacy, many of us have refused to speak publicly about this situation because Nancy wanted it to be private. We followed her wishes. Many people, including Patty, violated those wishes from day one. We have kept her privacy as long as possible, but at this time there is too much at stake and too much harm done in Nancy's name. Okay, and so now we have a conversation between Nancy and AJ, where Nancy, oh no, I think, okay, so this is AJ's message first, in the blue, of course, but also nobody else will know other than the board members and Greg, no hosts, no moderators or crew, etc. So you don't need to feel judged or like everyone is watching you. No one else knows other than those you have approved as far as I know. And, well, Helen did say she told Bree, but when I asked Patty, she said she thinks you told Bree, which means Dr. Ben knows because they live together. And Nancy responds, "Oh, and that's fine. I know how drama works. People always want to be in the know. I'm not embarrassed or shamed by it. Everyone will figure it out eventually." Well, we're still trying. Oh, yeah, I'm also going to provide commentary. If I didn't mention that, I'll give you a little bit of commentary there. But I'm going to try to keep that to the bare necessities here. Sorry. Okay, so this is very candid, and this is Nancy giving consent and being pretty nonchalant about the whole thing in this message. Did we get the want to make sure. I don't think we don't have the date on that one, but I mean, this conversation did take place, um, uh, presumably during the process of the investigation. And I think AJ can probably clarify for, in the side chat for that one. And then this is between Nancy and Casey. Nancy says, "I don't know what's going to happen with NanoCon." Oh no, this is Casey again. Sorry, I got the opening message first. "I don't know what's going to happen with NanoCon and the ACA at this point, but I hope he's able to gain back their trust at some point." So this is probably referring to Elliot, SR, apparently, obviously. Um, and Nancy responds, "And I hope these people will talk to me first instead of just forming their own judgments on it. SR and I are truly the only ones that can know what transpired between us." Casey says agreed, and then Nancy continues, "Yes, AJ said she would give my update to Maria at the ACA, and Elliot Cantor from NanoCon reached out. I told him the same. So hopefully nothing will be ruined for SR. I know he's learned his lesson." And Casey says, "We will certainly keep your and his private information private." So that obviously was maintained on one side, but not by another. We know because we're here, right? Okay, crazy, crazy. And then we go on. Casey says, "I'm glad AJ was part of the ACA stuff." And Nancy responds, "Enough people know that I don't think it'll stay private for long, but that's fine. It'll blow over eventually." I literally just facepalm myself. Given how you, back to Casey, given how you and he are both handling it, I think we've got the best shot of it being contained. So, all right. So to go on to these bad actors out here, somebody could take that language and try to say, "Look, they're trying to contain it. There's a conspiracy theory. There's a cover up." But remember, this is Nancy does not want this thing blown out of proportion. She just said that. She wants it to blow over. That appears to be her wishes at this point in the conversation. And then this one's highlighted. Nancy says, "I honestly wanted it to stay between us to begin with, but I understand that Stacy felt she had to tell someone. She has her own traumas in this, and I'm sure things triggered for her." So now we're talking about Stacy from Stacy's mom, and I believe that is the same person that is also called Apostacy, and you can correct me if I'm wrong there. Really, kind of neither here nor there. Stacy was the first person who Nancy encountered after the incident took place. We know that from her story, and so and Stacy, from what I hear, has chosen to remain silent during this whole ongoing debacle, whatever you call it. I don't even have words for what we call this, but um, okay. And we move on. This is AJ to Nancy. AJ says this is August 5th, 2025, 4:47 p.m. Um, I don't know if I know there was okay, so there's going to be an issue with the timeline here, but it will be corrected later. That AJ informed me about. I don't know if it might be in the timeline here. Okay, but the message here says, I know that if she did tell Seth, it's because she trusts him, but it is a little discouraging to hear that others haven't respected your wishes that it not go any further. Okay, and so Seth presumably is Seth Henderson, ambushed apostate, who, as we'll probably see again later in this, but we found out last time there was some kind of flirtatious back and forth conversations between Seth and Nancy at certain points, right? So that's part of the evidence here. Seth also has released his own notarized statement. I understand. I have not read that. I don't know anything about it other than that somebody said that he was going to do that, and I think AJ confirmed that as well. All right. So here's our general timeline. It says, how did that happen? All times are in Central Time. We begin July 26, 2025, Saturday, nighttime. NanoCon alleged incident. July 27th, 2025, Sunday before 8 a.m. So between the after hours and the early morning, Nancy gives a statement about the alleged incident to Elliot Cantor and a witness recorded. This is recorded. So very quickly, she meets with I keep getting this wrong. He is he is like a security director, right? He is a head of security. He is the dude who's doing the security at this event. And I had called him a security guard before. He's not a guard. But he has training in these things. And AJ did a video with Elliot Cantor as well, where he outlines what that training entails and all of the different jobs he's done, experience he has in security and working at events. So Saturday night, this happens. Sunday morning, it's being addressed with the security guy, head of security, director of whatever. Yes, he's doing that. I'm hung up there. 11 a.m. on Sunday, NanoCon ends. And then we make it to July 28th, the following day, 2025, Monday. And I'll probably just start making these a little more brief. 10:30 p.m. Patty calls me and shares the allegations, a 1-hour call. 11:54 p.m. After the call, Nancy emails Casey Gleason a full statement. Okay, so the following day, AJ has talked to Patty at length about the allegations made, and I mean, I'm kind of assuming because we're missing a piece here. I assume she had talked to AJ about this on Sunday morning when she had gone to Elliot. I don't know who led Nancy to Elliot. I guess is what I'm saying. That's so, but people had some knowledge of this at this time. We know Stacy knew about it. We know that she had told Patty about it. Okay, and then Tuesday, July 29th, 8:14 a.m. AJ, I contact Nancy. She forwards me the email she sent Casey. Mid-morning, Nancy speaks to Casey and John on the phone. 4:00 p.m., Casey and John talk to Elliot on the phone. Okay, wait. Contact Nancy. She forwards. Okay, so now the following morning, AJ is receiving the same email that was sent to Casey the night before. Nancy speaks to both Casey and John, and then Casey and John talk to Elliot 4 p.m. That day. So this is about 3 days after the incident. And between 6 and 8 p.m., Elliot and the ACA board producer and I, at Nancy's request, have a conference call. I use Nancy's email to tell her story. So AJ actually told the story to the the ACA board member slash producer in Elliot's presence. So that seems to be something that might be relevant later. 7:56 p.m. Nancy emails Elliot a different email than the one Casey, John, and I got. Hmm, that's something that hasn't come to light before in my timeline. Nancy is contacting Elliot privately, which we already knew that she eventually ends up calling him. And then after 8 p.m., after Elliot reads the email, he and Nancy talk on the phone. After midnight, call ends. Oh, so this is the okay leading up to the conversation. Well, that's interesting. So Nancy contacted Elliot requesting to talk to him. And the story we keep hearing is that somehow Casey and John put Nancy in touch with Elliot. But that does that just mean that they gave her his email address and she chose to do that? You, I mean, I guess. Okay. And then they talked for like 4 hours or more. All right. Well, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes, aren't we? This is going to be a long night right here. I don't know what I signed up for. No, thank you, AJ. I do appreciate it. This is great. Um, I will have to take a brief recess in a couple of minutes. I'm trying to just keep this together as possible, and so people can um, hear all of the events that happened and from the most unbiased perspective possible. I think. See, and I'm reacting to this in such a way as if like I am aware of these people, but I don't know these people personally. So I am reacting in such a way as if you were just some stranger coming up to me on the street and telling me this story. That what do you want, or something like that. Uh, I also gonna give you this. I write reports for a living. That's what I do. I just as a general. So when I read Nancy's statement and the way I reacted, like I'm reacting now, is okay. So there's definitely something going on here, and the story we're being told doesn't match along with the observations of others. It doesn't even follow a coherent timeline, and it doesn't follow it does not mesh very well with what people might call a reasonable um, statement of events, right? So now we're at the incident timeline. Incident timeline. So going back, this is what uh, happened, or I don't know if we're going to do what happened, what's alleged happened, or what we know objectively happened, despite things that we can't know, because as it was said earlier, only Nancy and Elliot can truly know what happened between them in private, right? Incident timeline starts July 26, 2025 on Saturday. Between 5 and 6 p.m., Elliot approaches Nancy at the bar. She describes him as a little drunk and then buys him two more drinks. Sounds good. 8:30 p.m. Glenda's Fire Show. AJ, spent dinner from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with Nancy. She had 2 glasses of wine. She appeared sober and clear-minded while we talked. After the fire show, Nancy was still clear-minded when I left the table. I immediately joined Elliot, my husband, and another guest. We chatted for 20 minutes. Elliot seemed very drunk at this point. We joked he would not wake up in time for his speech the next morning. Okay, so yeah, AJ corroborates Elliot's really fucking drunk, right? Pardon my language for all you who don't know. I usually cuss a lot. I'm moderating tonight, but this seems to be a key component of the story. I had kind of assumed earlier from my reading that Nancy was a bit tipsy too, and she kind of said she was in her statement, but this is earlier on in the evening. But Elliot by this point is already very drunk, according to people around him. Um, and so, according to basically everybody I've heard comment on this, there may be some issues with Elliot around alcohol and or substance abuse, and that may be a key component in this story. And I'm not saying that ever necessarily excuses bad behavior, but it can explain some things, and it's not to be taken lightly. I think I'll probably address that more later, but we'll keep going. 9 p.m. Dinner ends. People move to the restaurant, bar, lobby, all in one room. So it's one of those things. My family and I went to an event hosted outside. We returned to our room at 11:45 p.m. 9:30 p.m. Glenda Jordan, Arden Hart, and Dr. Ben Hamilton observe Nancy aggressively kissing Elliot while he attempts to turn away from her kissing. Glenda considered intervening until Nancy and Elliot got up and walked away together. Um, and I've heard this argument from the other side, where those people say that specifically, I hear Dr. Ben being targeted right now. That Dr. Ben should have done something because he's a doctor, which I don't know why people think that being a doctor means that you can somehow like influence human behavior in this way, especially if your patient happens to be really fucked up. But regardless, there is another story that it may come up again later in this, but we already know that Dr. Ben and Elliot had a private conversation where Dr. Ben did the most responsible thing he could do at that point and told Elliot not to do it, and Elliot did it anyway, right? So, but that is not in this. This is other information we know. Okay, but I appreciate that. See, Glenda considered intervening, but they got up and took off. I mean, these things happen. These are grown adult people. You're not gonna like go and force them to separate. That's not how the world works. I'm sorry if you weren't aware. Like, oh man. All right, we're at 10 p.m. Glenda texts Arden, who walked away momentarily, stating Elliot and Nancy seem to be now engaging in a consensual encounter, whereas previously they both perceived the encounter as one-sided, with Nancy having initiated and Elliot looking uncomfortable and pulling away. And this is pretty much, as far as I can tell, all of the individuals who observed this said the same thing, that he was a little more standoffish. And then she, in her statement, portrays it as, she says, well, I was a little bit excited, and so I just ran up to him and I hugged him and I gave him a kiss. Like that was it. But this is an ongoing for uh, at least uh, at least half an hour now, where this encounter is now going on, right? So, all right, all right, we'll continue. Unknown. So we don't know exactly what time this occurred, but between 10 and 11 p.m., after Glenda observes them walking away, Nancy and Elliot walk outside together, come back in, still cozy, and go back to the bar. So this is the point where in Nancy's letter, she would say that that they went out into the front, right? That was what she said. She said they went out into the front, and then somehow he pushed her up into a stairwell, which is the way the letter reads. So, and this part says no, they went out into the front, and then they came back in, and they were still doing their thing. All right. All right. 11 p.m. An anonymous witness tries to get Elliot away from Nancy, fails, and leaves. All right. So now we have an anonymous person and says, "Hey, I tried to get him fuck away." Um, I want to say I feel like that might be Dr. Ben, because that was the story I heard, that Elliot actually went to Dr. Ben and said, "Hey, she's trying to hook up, but she's married. What do you think?" And Dr. Ben was like, "Nah, don't do it." But Elliot did, still kept doing his thing. Okay. 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Sometime within this hour, Elliot and Nancy end up on the stairwell. We got a big gap here. I mean, that's a pretty big gap for a lot of things to happen in. The event is described as if it was just in Nancy's letter, a very quick succession. We went outside, he pushed me into a stairwell, and the next thing I know, I was falling down, and then that was like that's it. But this timeline is not adding up. Sorry to say. 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Sometime within this hour. Oh no, sorry, that's one I just read. It's 12:15 to 12:30 a.m. Chad Harris helps Elliot look for the wallet. Dr. Ben joins them. So somehow Elliot lost his wallet, realized he lost his wallet, and they're all looking around for it. Uh, you know, okay. And then at 12:25 a.m. to 1:01 a.m., Elliot and Dr. Ben look around for Elliot. So they're still looking for the wallet. They spent like the better part of an hour looking around for the wallet. With two different witnesses, knows where Elliot was, what he was doing, and then unknown. It is not known exactly where Nancy was for those 45 plus minutes, but she was texting Elliot during that time. All right, so let's look at that. They go outside, come back, uh, talks to the anonymous witness, and then goes into the stairwell with Nancy at some point. Comes back. Again, we've got kind of a gap in the timeline here. We're not really sure where everyone was at this time. So Nancy was apparently missing for a period of time, uh, approximately 11 to 1. But well, yeah, here it says 45 minutes. So that sounds about right to me. But it is known that she was texting Elliot during that time. I presume we have receipts there, right? Okay, cool. So she's still texting him after the fact. She's claiming that all of this happened. What is she texting him? We don't know. We don't have that information. So open to speculation. And then 12:55 p.m. to 1 a.m. Stacy runs into Nancy in the hallway. Nancy states she just came out from the stairwell and alleged she had been attacked by Elliot moments before, despite not having been with him for at least 45 minutes prior. Wow. 12:55. Yeah, because between 12:15 and 1 a.m., Elliot is with Chad Harris and Dr. Ben. Now we still have that gap. We have that 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. gap when something could have happened, but Stacy is just out in the hallway for that whole hour, or well, what is that? 40 minutes, I guess. 40 to 55 minutes, I guess. Uh, okay. Uh, and so again, this doesn't match the narrative. I don't want to go back to the letter right now, but you can see the inconsistencies in the letter. We read that in the other stream, uh, and I, I'm probably going to go back and reread that at some point as well in this whole thing. All right, so we're at July 26, 2025, Saturday, 5 to 6 p.m. So this is a little bit earlier in the evening. Yeah. After speeches end. It was mid-afternoon in the lobby of the lodge when I was approached by Elliot. Oh, this is from the statement. Sorry, excuse me. So we're going back. These are portions of the statement. It says it was mid-afternoon in the lobby of the lodge when I was approached by Elliot Martin, aka Secular Rarity. We had met in person for the first time briefly while attending the Ark Encounter protest in Kentucky only a couple weeks prior. And I do apologize, I misstated at some point in the other streams that this was the first time they had met, and she says here, no, they had met briefly at the Ark Encounter before that, but that's anyway. And it says we got to chatting, and since we were right by the bar, I offered to buy him a drink. He already seemed a little drunk, but I wasn't going to police him. After 2 drinks, our conversations turned toward flirtatious. And then AJ says the bar is inside the restaurant, providing snacks, coffee, and water. Okay, so giving us our location, and she said that the bar, yeah, it's all basically in the same room. It's not separated by any. Uh, yeah, so they're all still technically in the same room, even though maybe in different areas. And then we're at July 26, 2025, Saturday at 9 p.m. Dinner ends, people go to the bar. At the bar, um, I felt bold enough to tell him how cute he was and that I did have a bit of a crush on him. I noticed he was extremely drunk and or in some kind of mind-altering substance because he was sweating profusely and talking erratically. He seemed surprised yet delighted by my admission and said he had no idea. He grabbed my hand again and began leading me around to the various groups of people within the lobby. Sorry, I had to look at something here. Various groups of people within the lobby and on the deck outside. Though I couldn't understand his incoherent interaction with others, I just laughed because I was having a great, and I'll finish the sentence, time, because I remember reading that and going, "What are you talking about?" Uh, I do distinctly remember going, wait, I was having a great time listening to him having incoherent interactions with others that I couldn't understand. Whatever. Okay, that's a weird, what a weird thing to say. AJ's response says these accusations of drug use are likely meant to disparage Elliot's character. Nancy, Patty, and I discussed the possibility of drugs being involved. It was ruled out. Alcohol is a mind-altering substance, which can lead to slurred and erratic speech. Nancy knew Elliot was, in her own words, quote, extremely drunk. She admits to purchasing several drinks for Elliot herself. And this is a key point. He might have just been on alcohol. He could have been on other things. I kind of neither here nor there. Intoxication is intoxication, right? We can all get that one. Um, but she knows that he's intoxicated at this point, but continues to engage with him, being flirtatious. And so, all right, no more commentary there, I suppose, at this point. Again, we may circle back another time. And this message comes from Patty on July 29th at 8:01 a.m. It says, no worries, you didn't wake me. Thank you for sending these. And oh my god, the idea that he went and did coke or something is such an important point. Yikes. Yikes. Um, so there are some very particular dangers with mixing stimulants and alcohol, and those are pretty well documented in the literature and stuff. But do we have any evidence of it? No. Um, so this is just speculation at this point. So I don't know what to say about that. Coming on July 30th, Patty says SR says he wasn't doing any hard drugs. Okay. I don't know who that was. Who was that in reference to? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I swear. And I will have to take my intermission briefly here in a moment. Geez, we're only 4 pages into this. This is going to be an evening. I tell you what. All right. So continuing where we left off, she was having a good time. He then abruptly pulled me out the front sliding doors of the hotel. I went willingly as I didn't believe I was in any kind of danger. I trusted him and considered him my friend, though I was unsure of what he was doing when all our other friends were inside. Once outside, this is when he said he knew I was married, yet continued to shove me into the darkened alcove behind the door and kiss me aggressively, then stumbled and knocked us both to the ground. So they're outside, and this is what I was referencing earlier, right? he keeps mentions it to her, mentions it to Ben that she's married, and he seems to have a kind of a moral qualm with that, right? Um, and so that could be, one reason for his aversion to kissing her, say, in that situation, right? Okay, we get that part. Okay, but he stumbled and knocked us both to the ground, and then she accuses him of kissing, or yeah, she accuses him of kissing her aggressively when all the witnesses say that she was the one kissing him aggressively. Makes sense. She continues, I helped him up, but the moment I did, he took my hand once more and led me through a different door that led to the back stairwell. I was still tipsy and not quite registering what we. Yeah. And AJ responds, Nancy says at this time she was tipsy and Elliot was extremely drunk. She seems aware of the enormous difference in intoxication levels. Several witnesses describe Nancy as sober and clear headed all night, and Elliot as falling down drunk. Reverse the gender roles for a moment. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And, likely because of the way, the society operates, people probably would have been a lot more persistent in trying to pull that woman out of that situation if she was falling down drunk, as opposed to the reaction that Elliot got, right? But, I mean, at this point, regardless of intoxication, see, now we're saying falling down drunk, and there's a couple of different components to that because there is some corroborated, stories here of him kind of falling about and stuff like that, which also seems to maybe align with the whole they fell outside and then falling down the stairs later. All of this, but he's coherent enough to continue to go and carry on conversations with people around the place, and also to keep Nancy's interest, right? He's not drunk enough for her to lose interest or say, hey, maybe this guy's, too drunk to fuck, right? Like, so there's a whole bunch of problems around that. All right. AJ continues to reach the stairwell from the alcove. They had to walk through a total of 3 doors. And I was saying something about this too. I was like, no, they went out the door, they fell in the alcove, and then he pulled her into another door, and it's like something out of a fucking cartoon. This is not the way buildings are. Generally speaking, I mean, unless you have like the key to the fire riser or some shit. Okay, so, I'll go back. To reach the stairwell from the alcove, they had to walk through a total of 3 doors through the lobby in front of many people. Those in the lobby, main desk, and bar would see them. People in the lobby, John and Casey Gleason, Stacy and Drew Beckius, Glenda Jordan, Arden Hart, Dr. Ben, and anonymous witness. So there's another person here who's chosen not to be named. Okay, that's important. So Dr. Ben and anonymous witness, 2 separate people. Got it, got it. Nancy claims she was taken from the alcove to the stairwell. However, witnesses observed Nancy and Elliot come back into the lobby to leave to the restroom and back to the bar, engaging with John Gleason, Casey, and others. Casey's witness statements below, and we have a diagram of we have the floor plans. All right, so they are. This is the main entrance. There is a kind of stairwell over here, but this is the alcove she's referring to here. So they go out this way. Here's the lobby. Here's the desk, and the bar is back here. Okay. They go this way. They take a right. They're over here. They're kissing in the alcove. They fall down. And what door do they go through? Well, there's no door over here. So they had to walk back this way, in through the main entrance. Is this making sense? I mean, it's pretty clearly mapped out there, but I don't think I have to spell it out for people. Yeah, this seems pretty pretty far-fetched to think that he just, she helped him up and he pushed her through this door. Okay. All right. Yep. So this is our floor plan. And all right, we'll keep going for a few more minutes before we take a short intermission. only because I have to go and fetch something real quick. All right, Green X. Casey Gleason and others sat there. Seating arrangement was different than pictured. Okay, so now we're seeing this is an actual shot of the inside of the building. The elevator's this way, the gift shop's this way, and here's the bar. And the green X is up here. That's what we're looking at. So Casey was sitting here with the seats slightly moved around. Okay. Here's a source for the menu map. Witnesses reported Nancy and Elliot came back inside from the front doors and went to the bar, not to the stairwell. This happened later. Casey Gleason, who does not drink, was on a seat near the lobby entrance door and witnessed the following. And now we see the text thread here. Casey. I wasn't at the bar. I was out in the lobby on the couch by the front door. I have no idea how much people drank or their condition. Yes. And then I don't know who's somebody's response. Do you remember seeing them walk out? I have been wondering about that part. Casey says, yes, they walked right past me when they went outside. And then I'm assuming this is anonymous witness, and I saw them because we're redacted there. So redacted, I saw them. Let's leave it at that. I don't want to make any more assumptions. Read into it. All right, and then we continue. Did it seem like he was forcing her? Were they holding hands or anything? That's not my guy. And Casey responds, it didn't appear that way to me. They were holding hands, and she seemed to be going willingly. Anne saw them come back inside too, headed back toward the bar, but I didn't see them after that. They were still cozy when they came back inside. She was a little disheveled, pulling at her shirt, and her hair was messed up a little, but she seemed fine. And the response, so she didn't come back alone. Casey, no, but that was before the stairwell thing. That was when they went outside. I think the stairwell thing was later. They came back in from outside together. Redacted. When they came back in, they headed to the bathrooms first, then back toward the bar. She stopped on her way to the bar to talk to uh, godless engineer John Gleason, and that's where we lose that. So wait, she stopped on her way to the bar and talked to John. Okay, so if at that point she felt she was in any danger, she was back in a crowd. And this is when she says he's aggressively kissing her and knocking her to the ground, and then suddenly pulls her through this side door. But actually, no, they just went back inside, talked to their friends, and went back to the bar. This is bad. This is not looking good here. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, and we move on to the next section. CNC and quote cock appearance. I love that. I'm sorry. Um, this is like so. I'm a musician. I used to play a song called the Cock Song, just so you know. So this is exactly my style. I now have to write a song called Cock Appearance or something of that nature. It's just got to happen. All right, return to the letter. Um, it says Nancy and Patty's defense for discounting witnesses relies on claiming Elliot manipulated Nancy and the community. The following screenshots indicate that from day one, Nancy told different versions of the story to different people at the same time before she spoke to Elliot on the phone, where Patty says the manipulation first happened, right? So this is like days after the event when Patty thinks that her sister was manipulated, but all right. And back to Nancy's letter. He led me up a flight of stairs, and when he turned around, I noticed his eyes were black and lifeless. Sweat was still dripping off his face and hair, and he looked like the angriest person I had ever seen. For the first time that night, I became scared of him. It was then that I flew violently down the stairs behind me, toppling over a couple times before my head smashed into the concrete wall. He had just pushed me down the stairs with both open palms. And then we skipped small section of the story there, but there's in the next part, the part that's missing here actually says that he then proceeds to fall down the stairs behind her and fall on top of her. Um, and then there's a whole other part about him tearing at her shirt. And then we resume here. Sorry, I had to put that back in there just to make sure that because I think that's one of the other really implausible parts of the story. If you push somebody down the stairs and then yourself fall down the stairs, what does that sound like? I mean, that sounds like some fuckery, some drunken nonsense, or maybe they both fell down the stairs, or maybe the fall down the stairs never happened. I think it's a huge, point for that to be made. Although if both of them had bruising and stuff like this, um, later on, which I have heard, then that would be relevant, and maybe the fall really did happen. But it's being portrayed now in this letter as him pushing. Okay, that's my response to that. We continue the letter. It says, I would later see the bruise and scrape on him from this reaction. He released me. His cock also made a very brief appearance, to which I will spare the details, but just to reiterate, nothing that occurred during this time was consensual, not even close. If he actually thought this was some fun, fucked up act of sexual, let me get cut off there. Yeah. So we're focused on the cock made a very brief appearance, to which I will spare the details. But definitely not consensual. Didn't want his cock, even though I was telling people I wanted his cock. Never mind. Hearsay, Your Honor. July 29th, 2025. Or a Tuesday. Well, actually, I might have to. Where are we at? Come on, guy. Alright. We're getting close to intermission time here. 7:56 p.m. Nancy emails Elliot, SR, a statement. Some parts are similar to the email sent to Casey and John. The following parts are vastly different and not mentioned at all in Casey's email. This was sent before Nancy spoke to Elliot after NanoCon. Okay, this is in between the time when Nancy's talking to various people about this, and they are playing intermediaries between her and Elliot, or something like that, right? There's no contact between them at this time. Now, Patty has claimed Elliot manipulated Nancy's memory on that first call and then manipulated everyone in the community, convincing her that she consented. But these words came from Nancy. Her first contact with him about the incident came several hours after the email. Tuesday, July 29th, 7:56 p.m. Hey SR, I just sent you an email. Feel free to read it and message me here anytime after. And he replies, thank you. I am in a meeting now and will read it in full as soon as I am done. Would you prefer I text or call? And she says either one is fine. After 8 p.m. When Elliot's meeting ends after 9 p.m., Nancy and Elliot talk on the phone for 3.5 hours. This corroborates the email was sent before she had any contact with Elliot about this incident. Yeah. Wait. Okay, wait. I'm just trying to put this back. We're on July 29th, after 8 p.m., when Elliot's meeting ends, after 9. Nancy and Elliot talk on the phone for 3.5 hours. Oh, okay. I see. I see. So she had stated back here that she had already sent the email, but they hadn't spoken. Okay, I see where that's at. All right. So this is because this is shortly before 8. This is going to take a while. I'll tell you what. And then Nancy continues in the text thread. Looks like that night I will be back home in about or no, this is Elliot responding. I'll be back home in about 10 to 15 minutes. Is it all right if I call you? And Nancy says, yeah, sounds good. And then after the call, here's 12:24 a.m. on July 30th. It says, good night again. I really do appreciate our chat. Wow. I mean, It's right there. You can see the text message, right? Jeez. Oh my goodness. This is a whole ass shit show over here. What am I gonna do to entertain you? Can I do anything? No, I can't do anything. I have none of my media assets. StreamYard really me over here. Um, well, this could be entertaining. No, no, I won't do that. All right, we're just gonna do the be back soon banner. I've been on almost an hour already. Yes, I have, and I'll literally be right back. Right, just a minute. Trying to wait till I get this damn text message. Where are you, buddy? Oh no, it says I have 3 more minutes now. I hate when that happens. I just can't figure out how to keep time. All right, we'll try to make the 3 more minutes. Then I'll read a little bit longer here, and then we're gonna be here for a minute, for just a minute. We'll take a musical interlude later. Do some. Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna mention that guy tonight. All right, and then this is Secular Rarity. This is Elliot. Uh, no, no. Okay, so no, this is the message he received from Nancy. Okay, and then we have hey there, SR. I wanted to connect with you again about the incident over the. We got a redacted. Remember your cock making its appearance? But I felt so drunk by this point that I don't remember much of the details. I almost feel like I had asked you to take it out because some points of the night were turning me on, but I don't remember if that was before or after you. She used the same language in the email? Oh no. Yeah, this is definitely got to be immortalized in song, I think. The cock appearance, the appearance of cock is just what the fuck? Oh my goodness. Now, all right, all right. No, so I have heard subsequently. I was saying before when I was reading this letter, I said this sounds like a novel, like something that, a writer would write. And then lo and behold, I hear somebody else say, "Oh yeah, Nancy's a writer." And I'm like, "You don't say. That makes a hell of a lot of sense now." So she's accustomed to doing things like this, playing, like oh no, 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 no. But she said it here and then put it in the letter. She had. Well, your cock made a brief appearance. Here she doesn't say brief. She just says, "I remember your cock making its appearance," but she doesn't remember much of the details. She says she's super drunk. She can barely remember what happened, and I almost feel like I had asked you to take it out. But then, okay. So there's some point when she acknowledges that she thinks she may have consented, but then maybe she withdrew consent, and that's fine. But it's not even clear that anything sexual in nature happened after that because the other part she's claiming is violence, which is awful, right? But there is a distinction between, just, you know, regular violence and sexual violence. There are different psychopathies going on there and stuff like that, right? Jeez. All right, it's time for that intermission, it looks like. Yep. All right, we'll be right back after these commercial breaks. And we're back. That didn't take too long. All right, back to the fucking show. And since I'm back, welcome to anybody inside chat. As I said earlier, for anybody who's not knowing, I am not looking at the side chat right now. I'm trying to get through this lengthy document um, in one take here, and I'm probably gonna have to find some more creative ways to find a take another break in a little bit. But that's okay. That's okay. We can keep it running. We are covering the ongoing atheist community controversy, and this is the response to Nancy's letter from AJ at Ways to Human. Link down in the description for those who want to read it themselves, or go click on the internal links within the document. You can do all that. I've provided ways. Geez, this is um, in some ways like not having no prior communication with anybody about this was a lot of this seems to start to like mirror my initial response just reading the letter and so all right, the appearance of cock. uh, we go now to AJ's response. It says Nancy's statement indicates she was not opposed to Elliot's penis making an appearance. It does, yes. And then Nancy describes walking into the stairwell and immediately being pushed down the stairs as they were going up. Her shirt pulled up, then going back up the stairs and getting choked. Okay, this is the part that I was describing earlier. Sorry. Going back up the stairs and getting choked. It is unclear at what point she asked him to pull out his penis if the alleged attack began immediately upon entering the stairwell in the way she describes. Yeah, and being pushed through the door. Which people, we know by the layout of the building, people would have seen the pushing through or pulling through the door, however she described that, right? Described it as forceful. We return to the letter. Um, uh, they actually told him that I liked men to rape me. I suddenly knew exactly where all this came from. I remembered telling Elliot during one of our calls that I help women on my channel through their sexual trauma by suggesting they read dark erotica books in the genre of consensual non-consent. Right? Um, so this whole consensual non-consent thing has been a thread throughout, uh, and it's unclear. So okay, this may go back into the other. So there's other statements from other people involved in this that I haven't read yet, so I can't really speculate. All I know is that there are other people who she is told that she is into consensual non-consent or whatever from my understanding. And then she says here in her letter that she remembered telling him that she helped other women get through their sexual trauma by suggesting this, which does not necessarily, but in the next line it says that I found that reading this type of literature, we get cut off there, and maybe it's continued down here. No. But she says she's into reading that stuff. And so, I don't want to, I don't want to make the personalize this. I have had partners who were into consensual non-consent. And so I understand the how complicated and confusing that can be. I think I just leave it there, you know. I have some, but I do think it's a legitimate form of sexual expression. If you want to do that, and it is in fact consensual, then that's something that people, can and should explore if it's within their, yeah. Do what you want, and that's all good as long as there's consent. All right, we continue with AJ here. There is no indication that kink, CNC, or BDSM was involved in the incident. However, Nancy did bring up this topic to Elliot and several others at NanoCon, then denied being into it in the letter. The following is not to shame her for her interest, but rather to show the inconsistencies. Oh no. And here's the email. Hey there, SR. And this is also on July 29th. Okay, so this is um, some of the part that we. All right. It says, I wanted to connect with you again about the incident. Redacted. Have reacted more positively in this moment because consensual non-consent is a strong kink of mine, and this probably turned me on in the moment, which you might have picked up on and thought was okay to perform. In all honesty, I may have been more lucky that you did get too physically rough, so I could avoid feeling guilty the next day about allowing you to just take it, which I might have had I not. Hmm. Uh, uh, hold on, because we're missing a little bit, but this is continued from above, right? When she says that this is the beginning, and then there's some things that we've removed here. So remember your cock making its appearance, but I felt so drunk by this point that I don't remember much of the details. I almost felt like I had asked you to take it out because at some points in the night you were turning me on, but I don't remember if that was before or after you. This was the choking, pushing down the stairs, whatever she was claiming there. And I presume that she says, I might have reacted more positively in this moment because consensual non-consent is a strong kink of mine. So this might be the choking. This might be, it probably turned me on in the moment, which you might have picked up on and thought it was okay to perform. So this is indicating they did have sex. Um, in all honesty, I may have been more lucky that you did get too physically rough, so I could avoid feeling guilty the next day about allowing you to just take it. Which I guess refers to her vagina. Just take it. Um, which I might have had I not. We don't know what the next part is. Um, hmm. So there's all kinds of problems in there, and she's still after the fact saying, "Hey, I actually kind of was interested in you in you, and actually I am into the consensual non-consent. Like we're really into it. A strong kink. That's not like yeah, a strong kink is that means you're really into it. And this is after the fact. Craziness, craziness." AJ continues here. Patty and Nancy have both publicly denied Nancy being into consensual non-consent. However, Nancy confessed this to several people, including Elliot, SR, Helen, Bree, Glenda Jordan, and discussed it on the Apostate Sisters channel with Patty. Oh, that is so problematic. That is so bad. To just deny that you are into kink because something bad happened. I could understand that something bad happening could lead one away from kink, but yeah, I don't know. All right, and here's this message from Nancy that says, yes, I am very much into consensual non-consent and agreed that there are steps to take. Redacted. Great. So, lies. You're telling fucking lies when you say that you never said that, right? We can see. And again, to be clear, being into that is not justification for somebody doing non-consensual things, but it's implied in there because it says consensual. Like, right? It's called fucking fantasy. It's called role play. It's called, there we have a prearranged, boundaries and safe words and all of this shit. This is how kink and BDSM works and all that. So, God, grown ass people. August 1st, 2025. We continue with the letter. Sorry. Nancy and Patty recorded a show about kink. In this video, wait, this is after the alleged incident takes place in July, and they make a video about kink in August. Nancy and Patty recorded a show about kink. In this video, Nancy makes a confession about CNC 1 week after NanoCon. Here's the video in here. Kink coach video? Is that? Oh, anyway. In the video, Nancy and Patty admit discussing the topic of CNC at length. Being into kink is perfectly fine. Publicly lying about it repeatedly to protect yourself is not. Agreed. This came from Nancy every time. Patty and Nancy have denied this publicly, except in the video and in several messages. CNC does not negate harm, can happen, but it's inconsistent with their public claims. True. Back to the letter. My disdain, because he sat right next to me throughout the rest of Patty's presentation. I could feel all eyes on us, and I knew everyone was thinking we had had sex the night prior. Right, so this is a bit before this, and we may go back to this again, but Elliot, I, I think she approaches Elliot the next morning at the conference, and he asked her if she's okay, if I remember correctly. And so this would be after that. They apparently sit together, but she says, he sat right next to me. All right, and AJ continues. Nancy expresses feeling ashamed that people thought she had a sexual encounter with Elliot. Yeah, I feel all eyes on us. Sex the prior night. But is it right? What is the shame, right? Why would you be ashamed of, some being with a younger person who's like, charismatic and, popular in the circle that you're in, right? There would be now, so that might imply no, see, because it seems like what she's saying there, she was worried about people's perception of them having sex the night prior, um, which means that she thought that people would think less of her, I suppose. I don't know. That's a weird one because I'm like, well, there's the shame of if the essay happened, but I don't know where to go with that. All right, we continue on to the part about consent. Witness accounts and lobby footage indicate things went beyond harmless flirting, crossing physical boundaries. Nancy pursued Elliot at the bar, aggressively kissed him while he attempted to turn away from her. Screenshots are from Drew Beckius' FB post, witness accounts from the lobby. And to be clear, um, I believe these screenshots are the same that somebody else was trying to use to spin a counter narrative. I know that they were using some screenshots from Drew's post over on the other side. This is Glenda. It says, I feel compelled to share my thoughts. I sincerely hope you can remain open and receptive, as this is obviously a charged situation. I don't even know where to start with that YouTube video. From the violent threats to the constant misogynistic slurs, it was difficult to get through. I will start with Patty's claim that Nancy was just flirty. That is not what I personally witnessed. I genuinely almost got up from my table outside to intervene on behalf of SR because she was so aggressive and handsy with him, and he was turning his head to avoid French kissing. Later they left together hand in hand, every indicator of going to enjoy a consensual experience together, and I even texted a friend at the time to that effect, noting relief that it seemed mutual and not just Nancy pursuing one-sidedly. And that part of it is very interesting. So according to all the witnesses beforehand, and when he goes to talk to Dr. Ben, he's like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do this. And even she says that he, before these alleged assault, says that he knows that she is married. And so why would he bring that up? Well, I don't know. We can speculate, right? And then this is continued down here. Oh, by the way, above, where was it? Oh, yeah. So the the video she's referring to there is from that other side. Um, I believe. Um, yeah, I definitely remember that being commented on as though it was about them. I don't know if it is, but we'll address that later. And then continued from Glenda, I'm so concerned for Nancy, and this video again is such a disgusting violation. At the bar, Nancy expressed sexual desires and private information with me that has direct bearing on what happened. And while that context matters, I will not be sharing those details here as it would be unethical to do so without her consent. I'm a rape and sexual assault survivor, multiple incidents. I've had failed scenes, been bruised and violated and traumatized. There are people out there that foam at the. Okay, so what happened while that context was? It's so I think it's very interesting here that like the people that are concerned who are responding to this are saying, well, I don't even want to reveal the intimate details, right? Because even that would be a violation. But to say that, hey, this person shared these intimate details, that says once again that it's inconsistent with the later version of the story that says no, it just wasn't into that, and it contradicts her own statements because we can see the email, right? Um, and then Glenda tagged Arden and Ben to clarify whether they had seen the same. Here's Arden uh, responding, I just wanted to second everything said here by Glenda. I was also at the table and witnessed everything alongside her, and my recollection was exactly the same. I haven't been following the fallout super closely after the fact, but that's what I saw. I would probably have believed and taken Nancy's word for it if I hadn't witnessed what I did myself. And that's important. Um, and then Dr. Ben comments underneath, I was at the table with Glenda Jordan and Arden Hart and remember the same. Um, I haven't had the energy lately to weigh in because I don't think I can articulate my thoughts very well. Okay, fair enough. Returning to the stairwell. Who's this? Who's this? Okay, I may have to take another intermission here shortly. Jeez, too many interruptions. I decided to do this tonight, kind of on the fly because I think it's important. I want it to be done, and also because I know that I probably won't have this much time um, for the rest of the week. So that's why I told AJ we get it done tonight. And yeah, it's only 86 days left until NanoCon 2026. And they're still trying to shut it down. Here it goes. We'll talk about that later. Sorry, I went off on the side quest there. All right, in the stairwell. July 26, 2025, Saturday. Nancy claims Elliot dragged her from the outdoor alcove to the stairwell where the alleged incident took place. She followed SR up the stairs and came out the door to the lobby between 12:55 and 1 a.m. At this time she ran into Stacy, minutes after the alleged attack. The exchange below between Elliot and Nancy does not line up with that description. Now we're going to see the texts. Um, okay, so we've got. Okay, these are all from Elliot's phone. So 12:25 a.m. Elliot texts Nancy and says, "Nancy, you and I need to talk." Heart kissy face emoji. And Nancy says, "I'm in the same spot." And Elliot then says, "I'll find you. I need to find I need my wallet. LOL." And then Nancy says, "Come outside." And Elliot says, "Please." LOL, come to the front door, come to the front lobby. Are you in the lobby? And then, so this is 12:25. Oh, sorry. So we've got it printed out in text on this side to make it easier to read. And then it says Elliot recalls being in the stairwell before looking for the wallet. He and Dr. Ben looked for the wallet in the stairwell. Before looking for the wallet. And she says come outside, so she's outside at this point. I'm super confusing there. So it's between 12:25 and 1:01. But Stacy ran into Nancy at 12:55. Hold on. Okay, we're getting the timeline here. So Nancy says come outside at 12:28. And then at 12:38, that's 10 minutes later, for those of you who can math, Elliot says please come to the front lobby. 12:55, so we're almost a full half hour later. Stacy runs into Nancy and Elliot texts again. And AJ says come to the lobby at 12:38 a.m. and are you in the lobby at 1:01 a.m. suggests they never found each other between those times. It does. All right, Chad Harris helped Elliot look for his wallet from 12:15 a.m. to around 12:30 a.m. This is Chad. I was high as fuck, but I remember helping SR look for his wallet. There's honesty for you. Speaking of getting high as fuck, don't do that right now. What do you think I was waiting for, man? You guys like John LaJoie? That's how you pronounce it. All right. We return to Chad's text thread here. Come on. That's old proof packaging. So, I do apologize. That was very unprofessional of me. Chad says, nah, he was definitely drunk, high, something. I had him empty his pockets and gave him a pat down. After we failed to find it in the dining area, he was like, it's okay, man. It's just stuff. Everything can be replaced. So he's chill. He's super chill. And proceeded to wax Drunkaquint. Drunkaquint? I like Chad just based on this whole text thread here. About the temporal nature of cash and shit. And I was like, you should probably get some sleep. Yeah. Chad sounds like a good friend. And then Chad replies, I know I went back to my hotel shortly after that. I apparently plugged in directions at 12:38 a.m. So it would have been about 12:15, I reckon. One moment. I have to mute like just for a second. It should be just a second though. Second intermission completed. Yeah, usually I have. No, I'm not gonna lie. No. Sometimes I have fun things planned for those types of occasions, but not today. All right, we're gonna continue again. Page 11. There's a lot of stuff here, but considering, look, I spent a full 6 hours of my day listening to the other guy. Trust me, like this is This is about as good as you're gonna get. You're gonna get some major insanity coming from other commentators. I promise you that. All right, but I know most of you guys know that. I'm preaching to the choir here. Much love to everybody who's joined. I see a shit ton of comments and some viewers, and it's always much appreciated. If you are interested in this stuff, you can share it with other people who are interested in this stuff. And again, have never been affiliated with any atheist organization or conference or convention, nor have I ever attended any of these conferences. And I'm basically, about as unbiased an observer as you can get. There's no incentive for me to be here other than the fact that I know some of the people involved, or not the people who were involved in the incident, but the people surrounding. And so I've heard the commentary and shit like that. All right, we return to the letter, the response to the letter. Excuse me. Elliot and Dr. Ben looked for the wallet while Elliot and Nancy were texting. Dr. Ben stated that he and Elliot did not separate during this time, and Elliot stated he went to bed after looking for the wallet with Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben stated he and Elliot looked for the wallet in the stairwell at some point between 12:25 and 1 a.m. Nancy was not there. It is unclear where she was during that time. That's problematic. According to the evidence above, Nancy and Elliot's stairwell encounter happened before 12:15 a.m. The texts and witness accounts indicate Elliot was not with Nancy between 12:15 and 1:01 a.m. And here we have conversations between Elliot and I about the individual timestamps above. Come outside was sent at 12:28. Please come to the front lobby was at 12:38. And are you in the lobby was at 1:01. And then Elliot replies, well, it's unclear if this is immediate in the conversation, but so Elliot says, so actually I do remember that message, and I'm pretty sure we had already separated and did not get back together at that point. I'm pretty positive that I need to find my wallet, come outside, please come to the front lobby was all happening as Ben and I were walking around looking for my wallet. Which means Nancy and I had already parted ways from the stairwell, because that was when Ben asked me, are you even sober enough to consent? And I said, no, neither of us are. Okay. So that's something like what I had heard earlier. Wait from the stairwell. Yeah. When we had heard that he had talked to Ben about it, like, should I, shouldn't I? And he said no. And apparently, so this is Elliot saying, I remember me saying no. And this is after the stairwell, because they're in the lobby, right? And then here's Ben's account. Question 1. While looking for the wallet, did you and SR ever split up and look in different spots, or did you look together the entire time you looked? Question 2. How long would you say you looked? 10 minutes, an hour? And 3. Did you both look in the stairwell by the elevator? And Ben's response is, we were in the same spot because I wanted to make sure he got back to his room safely. It was probably 20 minutes or so. We were first by the bar, then the stairwell, then the outdoor area where we had dinner, then the hallway by his room. We never found the wallet. And so at this point in the story, my main question is, did they ever find the wallet after that? Or I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying, maybe this is a pretty straightforward case of wallet theft. But one can't be sure about these things. I'm sorry. I mean, all joking aside, yep, there's a fly in the ointment. We're all mixed up. We don't know what's going on. But I think we're getting a clearer picture now, aren't we? All right. We are at 12:55 at 1 a.m. This is the night or morning of at this point, and this is when Stacy runs into Nancy in the lobby's hall. Text from Stacy. I'm presuming this was to you, AJ. I don't know, but text from Stacy, August 26th. It says August 26th. I was like, didn't this happen in July? Oh, I see something there. Uh, oh, okay. No, this is the conversation that's taking place. Okay, I'm getting it now. This is Stacy recounting the thing after the fact. This text wasn't from the night. Okay. All right. Sorry. I'm trying to follow you here. August 26th at 2:01 p.m. And Stacy says, "Yep, I took a photo right before I saw her, like minutes before. Let me check the timestamp. So it was 12:55 a.m. I was just heading to bed when I saw her. Okay, 12:55 a.m. And back to Nancy's version of events. He led me up a flight of stairs, and when he turned around, I noticed his eyes were black and lifeless. Sweat was still dripping off his face and hair, and he looked like the angriest person I had ever seen. For the first time that night, I became scared of him. It was then that I flew violently down the stairs behind me, toppling over a couple times before my head smashed into the concrete wall. He had just pushed me down the stairs with both open palms. The literary device in this is amazing. It's I mean, if Nancy did this just to attract attention to her writing, I wouldn't be surprised. That's me personally. I'm just saying. I mean, this would be one hell of a way to get attention that for that. It's like I think there's other ways to do that, but this is one way. Okay, back to AJ here. Nancy does not make it clear what she believes Elliot's motivation for the completely unprovoked alleged assault was. Below, Nancy states the push down the stairs was likely accidental. Elliot recalled they both shoved each other against walls passionately, and he fell down the stairs with her, which was also in her letter as I recall, but unsure of how exactly that happened due to intoxication levels that led to blackouts. Earlier in the letter, Nancy described him falling down in the alcove because he was so drunk and unsteady on his feet. Remember that? And now they are both pushing each other around in the hallway. Oh, this is very like the scenario I imagined in my head. Like there's some rough play and they're both drunk and neither of them really realize how close they are to the stairs and then, bang bang boom, they both topple down. Um, and I've been blacked out drunk a time or two and never fallen downstairs during it. I've done some crazy shit, but not fallen downstairs. So I don't know how drunk you have to be, but this does happen. I mean, it's a real thing. All right, now we have text from August 4th, 2025. Nancy and Seth, who is ambushed apostate, and so Seth says, "Did y'all talk over the video?" And Nancy says, "Yeah, I was as accurate as I could be in my description. The only thing he disagreed with was that he claimed he didn't push me down the stairs. If that's actually the case, then he likely was trying to shove me into the wall, but I fell and lost my footing on the steps." Right. Either way, it ends there. And then another conversation. Nancy says, "He and I spoke about all that. I remember his palms out. It could very well be that he was maybe pushing me into the wall in some weird sexual thing, but that's when I went down the stairs. After I hit my head, things were a bit unclear, but I know he was at the bottom of the stairs too. I don't think that's when he climbed onto me. Though that directly contradicts the letter because she says that he fell down the stairs, and then I think it does. Or is that when he grabs her shirt? Um, yeah. See, there's too much messiness here. And then the final message from Nancy says, I think it boils down to whether he actually had intentions to hurt me or not, and I don't think he did. Wow. So there it is. I mean, he said you don't fuck around in these streets, man. As the man would say, right? No, we're gonna address the elephant in the fucking community later. Everybody knows the fuck I'm talking about, and yeah, that's not what we're gonna do here tonight. All right, this is the portion where she says he was ripping at her shirt, and then she says, pulled my shirt back down and walked up the stairs. I followed cautiously, assuming we were returning to the lobby, which I was relieved about. AJ says Nancy follows her alleged attacker up the stairs. After the first push fall down the stairs, they were next to the door where they entered the stairwell, which led back to the lobby, on the same level as the alcove. Once we both reached the platform of the steps, halfway up, he spun around yet again and strangled me with both hands. This lasted several seconds. Nancy describes a second attack for no apparent reason while she was following him up the steps. And then I slowly made my way up the stairs, leaving from the door Elliot had exited out of a moment ago. And then once in the lobby, Stacy noticed me. Now, the other side, I have to just point out, the other side keeps saying that Stacy found Nancy after the attack. Like she was like in a state and Stacy found. That's the statement from the other side now. So this is Nancy's letter, right? But these bad actors out here are going to be over here acting like Stacy like found Nancy, and you can kind of get what's implicated by that, right? So anyway, it's just all, I mean, even if you go along with her statement, the things these people are saying don't even align with that. It's fucking crazy, dude. I just had to say that. Okay, I'll just continue. I'll stop and then I'll continue. um, and uh, and so we're back to AJ now. After the second alleged attack on the platform, Nancy states she followed Elliot up the stairs and out the same door he exited. The original entry point was down the stairs at the lobby level, same level as the alcove. It's not clear how she went up a flight of stairs and came out at the lobby level where Stacy found her. Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous, right? It's like the whole thing where we went out the front door and we went into the alcove, and then there was this side door that's not actually there because we saw the floor plan, right? Didn't happen. Incorrect. Okay. Dangerous or not? Um, Back to the statement. I felt obligated to warn women I felt close to at the time to ensure they kept their guard up around him. When tragedy occurs, it can often bring people closer, and these conversations did. Back to AJ. Nancy told several women it was safe to share a house with Elliot in Austin the week of August 16th, 2025 for the ACA's Bat Cruise. She also asked me to tell the ACA she wanted Elliot to continue working with them and attend this in-person event. Um, okay, and there's some problems around the whole Bat Cruise thing coming up. I guess that's going to be the other part of the coverage. I don't know if we'll address too much about that here because it's not the incident we're talking about. Um, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like some type of, maybe maybe chronic alcohol abuse might be involved in some of this. Um, and so that's a thing. All right, and we'll go down to the text. Nancy says, "Thank you. Can you please?" Wait. No. So, well, I guess we'll go to the top part of the text. So, coming from AJ, said they had paid for his expenses for the Bat Cruise trip, and he was supposed to be on that show as well as this Sunday. I don't think he's worried about that, but I was wondering so I can give the ACA some guidance on how to proceed. And Nancy replies, "Thank you. Can you please pass along my decisions and outcomes with the ACA? I'd like him to still be involved in all these things as scheduled. As far as I'm concerned, this is now dealt with. He doesn't need to be punished further. And thank you for having such an amazing heart as well. I feel like you understood where I was coming from the entire time. This is the goal I wanted." And this is just prior to this. This is, yeah, a couple weeks after, right? Or like a week or two after. This is the goal I wanted. Um, and I just can't, like, um, yeah, I mean, maybe it can take time to process things, but she just doesn't come off in any of these messages as, as really, she seems very, very confident in the way she is handling this, to me. I don't know. That's what I see. All right, back to the letter. For the next few days, we had some kind of interaction daily, either through texts or phone calls. I wanted to ensure he was checking in with me, so I kept the dialogue going by asking how his day was or sending pictures of something I was doing that day. And not one of these conversations were of a sexual nature, though much of the interaction was great. Yeah, Nancy and Elliot discussed the Bat Cruise on August 5th, a week after the alleged incident. Nancy asked Elliot to rub Helen's breasts. What? Nancy, I have to read this again. I just have to be clear. What Nancy and Elliot discussed the Bat Cruise on August 5th, a week after the alleged incident. Nancy asked Elliot to rub Helen's breasts. This indicates she did not consider him a danger to other women. Okay, we're just gonna I'm stuck on that right now a little bit. All right, go. Here's the text. Just keep going. Just fucking grown ass people. All right. The text reads from Nancy, "Are you going to Baja Con or just the Bat Cruise?" And then Elliot says, "Who likes the French? LOL, just the Bat Cruise. What about you?" And Nancy says, "Neither, unfortunately. Think I used up my atheist convention cards for this year already." Okay. And then, "But please do rub my online wifey's tits when you're at the cruise. As long as Helen consents, tell her it's from me." Oh, oh my. Dude, no fucking way. No way. No way, dude. Supposedly beat the hell out of her, pushed down the stairs, strangled her, and raped her, and now she's like, "But please do rub my online wifey's tits when you're at the cruise, as long as Helen consents." Um, alright. That's some crazy shit to say. I mean, I guess we could take it as a joke, but why? Yeah, no. And the remark in there of about consent like speaks volumes to me. Um, and geez, it's almost like she's really like goading him with this. Like it seemed like this is actually a prolonged, like she's telling other people she doesn't want, but she says that she wants him to ensure that he was checking in with her, and she kept the dialogue going, right? Why? Is this like some form of psychological uh, abuse? Like counter abuse, and if so, then why the whole crusade now? Well, other people are off on side quests, I suppose, but they're just running along with it. Like, "Yeah. All right, cool." Says the Bat Cruise took place August 16th. Text between Elliot and Nancy. Days after the Bat Cruise, Nancy expresses wishing she had been there. And she says, yeah, August 19th, 10:16 a.m. Hey, great show on Sunday. That Ulrich had me cracking up when he started talking about buttholes. Haha. That cruise looks super fun too. I'm super bummed I missed that one. Hope you're doing good. And he replies a little later, "Oh my gosh, LOL." All right, LOL. Like, dude, get over yourself. But yeah, the whole weekend was absolutely amazing. So cool to get to see a bunch of people. One lady came from the Netherlands and stayed for like 2 weeks. Oh, okay, cool. And this is just regular ass convo going on between these two people, which she herself says that she wanted to keep going. And certainly people can, I guess, make decisions and regret them later, but this is just one of those weird ones. You go, well, hey, on the one hand, he's, he just beat me or, shoved me downstairs and, strangled me and raped me out of nowhere. And on the other hand, he seems like a really nice guy, and I don't think he would hurt women. And I like to joke sexually with him even after the supposed event, the alleged event, the whatever transpired here. All right, back to the response. AJ says the following messages were sent on August 22nd, hours before Nancy removed everyone in the community from her FB and disappeared. While not explicit, this message shows Nancy had been aware many of us were staying in Austin, where Elliot would be staying in the same house with several women in the community. Oh, yeah, here we go. And here's from Nancy. Um, oh, no. So, okay, we got the first part of the message sent to Nancy. Redacted. Elliot did great this weekend. He didn't drink at all. He just smoked his vape and kept saying he was just going with the flow. He was super chill the whole time. Um, and this is 22. I just want to check on something because there will be something later. So this is the 22nd of August, and then Nancy responds, "Hey love, I just emailed you viewer access to my content creator contact list. It does need to be updated again soon, but this will be a good start." Wait, what? Just hours before she removed everybody from the FB and disappeared. Um. Okay. So the one thing I am worried about though is this. This is I don't know if this is trying to get the dates again here. So they'd already been to BatCon. Okay, so this is going to be now the following week. And so this person, says that Elliot didn't drink at all. We have some alternative testimonies that testimony. I'm going to go into courtroom mode here or something. Some people have said that he was also drunk at BatCon, but no allegations of him harming anybody. Just drinking again. But this is after that, and so I don't know. But all right. Well, I guess. Oh, it's the point. Is this is the weekend he was staying in the house with everybody, and so this is like. Um, Nancy had been aware many of us were staying in Austin, where Elliot would be staying in the same house with several women in the community. Right. So she doesn't express any concern for him being there with them. Um, all right. We go to other alleged victims. Back to the letter. Another revelation that cemented my decision to press charges was another victim of Elliot's who came out. All this time, Patty was working diligently, with my consent, to ensure her sister, eh, um, the other victim, right? And I think I was trying to remember what occurs at the end of this sentence because it's again, this was another part that felt like it wasn't written by the same person to me. But anyway, and the response, this is irrelevant. If we're going to discuss patterns but not give evidence, there are 5 people Nancy approached attempting to engage in sexual encounters at past conferences. 3 men at different in-person gatherings, and 2 women at NanoCon before approaching Elliot. She also offered to have a threesome on 2 occasions. Until these individuals come forward, it's hearsay in the same way Nancy's another victim of Elliot's is hearsay. Yeah, um, yeah, if she's, uh, I mean, hey, you could do that. Not gonna shame you for it, but yeah, if that's what people are, yeah. Uh, so who is this alleged other victim? It's just, yeah, fucking gobbledygook right there. All right, Seth Henderson, ambushed apostate, who I frequently see come up on my suggested friends list, and I'm like, who the fuck's that guy? I don't know. Maybe I should check it out. My bad. Seth, if you're out there, I promise I'll come check you out. Here, I've been neglecting a lot of things lately, so. But anyway, I like your name. I think it's cool, and the whole like Walter White thing. Uh, anyway, what is he doing? Checking a text message. Well, I heard you the first time. She's texting me from outside. This is crazy. Uh, you want to hear about my personal problems? No, this isn't about me. All right, let's continue on down this rabbit hole. I might be able to read a little faster if I stop running my mouth too. So, um, yeah, like everything when I'm doing commentary here and then I read it, I'm like, oh yes, AJ's on point. AJ's doing a lot better than me most of the time, but at least in this response to the letter. Uh, so, all right. Uh, I, Seth of Ambush Apostate even concocted a fallacious story that I tried to engage in a sexual relationship with him and that he wanted me to leave my husband for him. All right. Yeah, that one, um, highly specific. And so, as I understand it, this is not going to go well for. Let's see. Nancy denies having a sexually explicit relationship with Seth from Ambush Apostate. The following conversations are between Nancy and Seth after NanoCon. The first interaction immediately following NanoCon is this message the same day Nancy gave her statement to Cantor. In the text, Nancy brags about how much fun she had and says she partied too hard, sending photos of her and Elliot, among others. Well, we've seen these ones, but we're seeing them again. And yeah, so there's Chris Mallard. Um, so yeah, Seth says y'all don't party too hard tonight. I hope today was or Nancy. Wait, who is this? Oh, that's Seth. Yeah, Seth says y'all don't party too hard. I hope today was amazing. Nancy says I didn't keep my promise. Ended up partying too hard. Ha ha. And yeah, and there's all the pictures and such. The following are sexually explicit conversations between Nancy and Seth. Ambush Apostate. These are simply included to show the letter misrepresents Nancy's relationship with Seth. It shows it was of a sexual nature. All right, so trigger warning here if you haven't been triggered yet, I suppose. If the appearance of cock didn't trigger you. Okay, it's a brief appearance at least. God, I can't fuck with this shit, man. Grown ass human beings, adults living amongst us. uh, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm feeling okay right now, yes. A little delirious, a little dumbstruck. All right. So this is from Seth. Oh, I'm sure you have bought stock in them. And she says, oh, and my husband is so hot, it's unfair. And he says, especially after all this really hot content y'all have been making, I just want to say, bro, she really wants to suck your dick. What's your deal? And then she says, oh, Patty has the hottest sex life ever right now. She and the hubby are freaks and her additional partner for a time. And he says, y'all both have it in the eyes, but you have it way more noticeably. She says, right? Maybe he has such an analytical person that I just have to say, okay, we're having sex now. Let's get it ticked off our to-do list. Maybe he's frustrated that I don't have a dick. That's why he needs skydiving, snowboarding, scuba diving, all those extreme sports to blow off steam. And he says, doesn't compute with me. I'm the type of guy that actually enjoyed doing the work for 20 to 30 minutes before I ever put D to P. I like taking my time and making sure she's feeling good, and that takes time. There's no box to tick in my opinion. And then he says, and if you tell him how bad you need it and he shuts you down, we'll revisit it. She says, thanks, yeah, I gotta run some errands, but will you be available for a call later? I appreciate this chat. Now the floodgate is open. He says, yeah, text me first, and if I don't answer, I took a power nap. Floodgates are an interesting way of putting it. And she said, haha, yeah, that was on purpose. Uh, so definitely flirtatious in nature. Um, she does mention her husband during the conversation, which is problematic, but it seems like they're maybe, I get the error of maybe they do have an open relationship. Maybe that's part of the thing. I don't know. It's hard to tell with some of the details of this, but I'm sure people have, it's, we don't really need, I don't need to know. Are they on OnlyFans? All right. And then here's some more. There's even more. She says, "Okay, now you're just teasing. Everyone wants that. Good on you for being that guy." Oh, okay. So we went up to down. So these are the bottoms of these ones. Now I'm like, so it got formatted a little bit, or maybe it's because I sized it up to read the text. Nope, nope. It's just the format cut it that way. So this is after he's talking about, eating pussy for 30 minutes before he sticks it in. Now you're just teasing. Every woman wants that. Good on you for being that guy. And yeah, it's super taboo to be gay in India. He probably wouldn't even admit it. That also is about her husband, right? What are you doing? And he says, "Oh, this isn't teasing. Haha, this is just the factuals." Uh, it's like you're gonna need some meat on your bones so you don't get broken. Uh, continue. I feel like I've been here before. I'm doing it again. I'm giggling. I'm not supposed to giggle. The missus told me I was not supposed to giggle while doing this, and I'm doing a lot of it right now. All right. She says, for sure, I never had any complaints about the junk in the trunk. He says, if anyone complains, send them to me and I'll straighten them out. She says, in my experience, tall, skinny dudes usually have huge cocks, and most women know this. I'm sure you're doing just fine. And anyway, and then this is apparently they're sharing porn. As far as she's sharing porn with him, I think, is what this looks like. Dude eats her pussy within 2 minutes of the show starting. And all right, so yeah, we got. I don't. This one we've seen enough. I think here, right? She says, "I'm glad and hopefully you'll learn something from it too." Inside the scary mind of the horny suburban housewife, right? Immediately following these conversations, Nancy tells Seth she wishes he could come stay with her, sent on August 10th, 2025, while her husband was in India. A lot of people don't make it out of those situations, and that's crazy. I don't like being that close to something. It takes so many people out. But unless my ticker just stops ticking, I'm about to beat this level, and I'm excited about it. And she says, yeah, I think Memphis will be great for you. Hard on you, but will be awesome in the long run. Really wish you come stay here for a couple weeks or so. And he says, that would be extremely helpful, Nancy. It just sucks it's so far away because by the time I get up there to stay, there I will have spent most of my money and then save it to get to Memphis. I have saved it to get to Memphis. And here's a link to the statement from Ambush Apostate, which I see is unfortunately not hyperlinked here. Just so you know, AJ, I'm going to now, wait, how do you do that? I forgot. Oh yeah. I'm going to copy that and drop it uh, into the chat. I'm gonna not look at the chat, not looking at chat. I guess I can briefly look at chat. You guys are sitting here. I see She Wonders, Free Thinkers Fireside. Welcome, welcome. And Glenda, good to see you. I need to highlight that comment. Sorry about that. But AJ, I think I said hello already. Pretty sure. Oh, My Awesome Life. DV. No, no, this is not about DV. This is an accusation of an assault at a conference between two. Anyway, yeah, it supposedly happened at a conference, but um, anyway, you've missed a lot of the backstory here. So just say, yeah, how do I sum this up? It's fucked. It's fucked. But they're trying to, like cancel and deplatform everybody they can because it's a racist, patriarchal conspiracy to platform, randomly aggressive, no, they're not. No, hold on. I'm not describing this right. And it depends on who you listen to for sure. But this is that guy I kept telling you about, My Awesome Life. That's the guy who's talking about this stuff and making up all kinds of crazy stories. So glad you're here. Did I drop that link after all that? I'm kidding. Nitty, what's up? Nitty doesn't have a wrench here. Does Nitty have a wrench here? What's going on right now? What in the actual fuck? I have to stop for a second to oh, Bree Badger, good to see you. I have to give Nitty a wrench. I cannot continue stream without doing that. I hope I have your consent though. I wouldn't want to do this without your consent, but dude, I love you. I love you. I love you, Nitty. No, that's kind of creepy. No, but your shit's great. I really enjoy listening to you and stuff like that. And yeah, totally totally on board. There he is. All right. I give people wrenches as a matter of principle. So that's what I do here. All right, we're gonna continue on this letter. Just over 2 hours now. We're halfway. We're like halfway there, I think. Oop, and now I'm opening the wrong page. Just prolonging the fucking thing. Yeah, we're like halfway there. 18 pages. All right, and we read that one. We got the link out. We're on to camera footage. From the letter, the only footage authorities were able to retrieve were from the lobby, where Elliot and I were engaged in obvious flirtation. No footage existed from the back stairwell. And so, flirtation and physical sexual contact are completely different things. Glenda Jordan, Arden Hart, and Dr. Ben described Nancy initiating the aggressive kissing. There is no problem with describing a non-consensual allegation of harm during an otherwise consensual sexual interaction and separating the two. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, we're able to discern between those two things, I think. I guess maybe how this is relevant is if this were taken to like police, say, then police might say, well, okay, they're going to still take the same approach, right? They're going to say, well, one doesn't necessarily, the existence of the consensual thing happened doesn't negate that the non-consensual thing necessarily didn't happen, but it begins to bring in the question of credibility, right? I mean, it's not unreasonable to think, okay, well, and also it's the way it's described, right? And the way she describes it in the letter to me says that she knows she's lying at that point, because when all the people around describe her as being aggressive towards him sexually, right, and him actually trying to pull away from her, what she casually brings up, like she just went up and put her arms around him and kissed him, and that was it. And the camera footage obviously also corroborates the witness statements, so not her story. So she is knowingly lying, and we have proof that she's lying there. That's a huge credibility issue, right? All right. And then, if the footage is from the lobby, authorities would have timestamps of many of the night's interactions and movements. They would potentially see Ben, Elliot, and Chad walking around, Nancy and Stacy meeting near the lobby, Nancy and Elliot walking toward the stairwell and out the front door. It would show where Nancy went after the stairwell, Nancy kissing Elliot at the bar, etc. Right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it would show at what times they both came back in, as you stated here, right? So. Uh, Okay. Marital struggles. I've never been married. Okay. All right. We needed a little bit of a laugh there, right? Didn't we? Um, if it's 8:21, I think I'm actually going to have to take an actual second intermission. Um, oh, what should I do? Should I you think we're going with music? I think we can go with music. I don't know. Um, should search up some original music so I don't get the copyrights. Do 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 do. Because we're going on. I mean, we're over. Are we 3 hours now? All right. You know what? I'm just gonna keep fucking. I'm gonna keep on keeping on. I'm not even gonna take the intermission. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm thinking about it, there is probably another way, and I'm gonna figure it out right now. This is gonna sound weird. I'm taking you all with me. Marital struggles. As far as I could tell from my end, being in a monogamous marriage, I wasn't worried about anything happening while attending one of these conferences, as I knew myself and wasn't the type of person to cheat on their spouse. After 10 years of marriage, I still never have. I also believe that men of the atheist community were different. I love that line too. Um, and we cut out the part about but we get freeing sexual energy that wafted off the atheist community. So you see, I believe that men of the atheist community were different, but also there was freeing sexual energy that wafted off the atheist community. Crazy. I allowed myself this stimulating interaction to also feel free from what I can only describe as a mundane sex life back home. That was frustrating me. Her husband cannot be happy about that. Elliot was a refreshing reminder that I was desirable. That's just terrible, dude. Okay, conversation between Helen and Nancy. Um, and so this is Nancy. Well, we've never met in person, so I seriously wish I were single sometimes. So many incredible opportunities with hot people like you and Bree, but I definitely had my wild days. I'll live vicariously through you. And she responds, I don't understand why your man doesn't want to fuck you. And then Nancy says, I think he has serious sexual trauma, and his difference of culture makes it hard to talk to him about it, but I'm working on it. I really do love him, but I'm seriously sexually frustrated. It wears on me. So there's that. Um, I'm sorry. And that's sad, but yeah, she kind of included it in the letter like it was like no big thing, but this doesn't read that way. And she does um, express her attraction towards Breather, I will say. Um, then Nancy to Helen 2 days after telling her about the incident says, awesome vibrators to keep me satisfied, but I do feel my situation sort of led me to Elliot's arms in the first place. Clearly, I'm needing more. There are definitely great aspects to my marriage for sure. I know how fortunate I am, but the bedroom department absolutely sucks. Thank you, I appreciate that. Like I said, I think my marital struggles may have pushed me into Elliot's arms in the first place. Once this all settles down a bit, I'd love to chat with you about redacted more. Um, so she repeats this um, a couple of times now. And now this reads like um, I want to say her repeating that phrase to me, it does sound like coaching. It sounds in a way like coaching. Like the way that she's saying that That I don't know. That particular phrase just strikes me that way. Um, and then back to the letter. My talks with Elliot soon started to fade off as I began to not trust him, and I steered more towards these other content creators for conversation and comfort. Her husband's still gone at this point, right? And we continue. While Nancy's husband was in India, Nancy spoke to Elliot daily. In the following message to Ambushed Apostate, Nancy says she stopped trusting him because she thought he was young and dumb rather than because of the alleged incident. This is between Nancy and Seth. Says, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm now in the Elliot can go fuck himself stage. Haha." Okay. Um, he replies, "Oh yeah, how did that change take place?" And she says, "After talking with him for a few days, I concluded he's just young and dumb. It helped me get over my attraction to him. I just have a weakness for men with long hair. I'm sure you've noticed." And he says, "Oh, so it's the long hair that does it. That makes sense. Uh, to to mate it doesn't equal being a mature adult." And she says, "Yeah, that's very true. I made the connection recently. I mean, Elliot, R and Raw, Dan, I don't know who that is." I was like, okay, I think I have a type. Apparently, I mean, I don't think that Elliot and that SR and R and Raw like look alike. I mean, not even vaguely, but whatever. Okay, it's just the long hair. Okay. Uh, Regardless, yeah. So she's brushing it off like it was like, well, it was just like a romantic interest, and then I found out he was immature, and whatever, he can go fuck himself, I guess. Um, so in this again, it's very cash. It's very very casual. She's not acting. She's still not acting like you would expect somebody who was like severely traumatized to act about that person, I suppose, in my eyes. So that's my hot take. Nancy and Elliot talked until Nancy left the community. On August 20th, Nancy tells Elliot if he ever wants to drink, smoke, and vent, let her know. While in the letter, she accuses him of using drugs and alcohol and insinuating he's got a drug problem. False allegations. Um, I don't know. See, like, I don't know these people like that. I was gonna say, some of this tracks for both parties, with potentially having, at the very least, maybe an alcohol problem, or on that night they definitely did, for sure. In an ongoing way, who knows? Okay, and I speak as not only an atheist, but an alcoholic in recovery, as they say. I don't like the term recovering alcoholic. Uh, but anyway. uh, you know, uh, just I've seen these dramas unfold in and around my life and the people around me when alcohol is involved and drugs as well. So, give you that one. All right, we're at Wednesday, August 20th, 12:57 p.m. And this is between Nancy and Elliot. So now we're nearly a month out from the event. And just to reiterate, when was she having this conversation with Seth? I'm interested in when she did the now Ellie can go fuck himself. Um, okay, but that's not really relevant. So back to August 20th. She says the Nashville area seems to have so many great options for the atheist community. Chicago is really lacking in that, but I guess you guys need it far more down there in the Bible Belt. I do hope you're giving yourself enough credit for all you do. Life gets so complicated and busy. I totally get it. Just know that your work really does matter. It impacts a lot of lives, and having a life of your own is just as important. You hang in there. He says, "Yeah, that's true. It seems like because we are right in the thick of things, we have a bit more of an active community. And thank you. Seriously, I don't always give myself enough credit for things and feel a lot of the times not doing enough." Um, um, And she says, I'll encourage you in any way I can because I do see it. It can be hard to push past our own negative thoughts, and when life gets busy, it makes it even worse. And I really enjoyed all those long late night chats. I've been super busy here too, but I'm totally down for those anytime you want to just drink, smoke, and vent. Let me know. And yep, there it is. That's what she said. August 20th. Um, and then she says, Ha, life's problems. I once reached down while working behind a hotel desk with a line of people, and my pants split down the entire seam. Full exposure. Ah, those are the best times. For what it's worth, you're really funny too, so thanks for cheering up my day. He says, Oh, well, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And well, thank you. I really do like making people laugh and being silly and playful. I assume that's like a talk text or something, making people laugh. And then who sent, I don't know what this part is. They're sending, sounds exciting for you, sends a link or a screenshot of the upcoming morning show, I guess, here where she's going to be on with Maya and Ember and Ryan and the sisters. And I'm guessing this is attached to this. It says in the middle of this right now. It's already more exciting. I really love this community. Didn't realize how much I needed it. This is August 21st. Okay, so now we're a month out. She is on the show. Both sisters are on the show with Maya, Ryan, and Ember. Okay, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm loving it. I didn't realize how much I needed it." We're speaking to two different people. Absolutely speaking to two completely different people right now. One wrote the letter and apparently got it notarized, and the other one is who the we talking about? Grown ass human beings, and then you've got the other, our special friends over there who have spun an entirely different narrative. And I mean it goes deep it's like in the in the dark recesses of the atheist community, it's like fucking Voldemort or something. I don't really know the lore behind that. I just know that that's like the pinnacle of evil, right? I guess is what that represents, and that's ultimately what we're doing here. We're just promoting the patriarchy, white supremacy. We gotta keep. I don't even know how the fuck this has anything to do with white supremacy, but people keep bringing it up for some reason. It seems to be interrelated to them, and I don't know how they could possibly misconstrue this so badly, except that, oh wait, they want the attention for themselves. Maybe it's just because, I mean, I have to go off on this fucking side quest, right? Because what are these people doing? What are they complaining? Are they mad because they don't get to be the next speaker at NanoCon? Is that really like what's going on here? Are we fuck how am I taking these people? I cannot take these people seriously. Like, what could possibly be the motivation for this fucking bullshit? I can't. I'm sorry. I have to take the intermission now. I really do. Just give me a minute. Just like 1 minute. I'll be Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry to keep you waiting. That was very unprofessional of me. Hashtag unprofessional. I still, I can't, like sometimes, yeah, I'm quoting the enemy, I know. I don't have a stake in this fucking, I don't have a dog in this fight, man. Like I don't, I'm not trying to, that's my position here. I mean, I love streaming. I love chatting with y'all and hanging out, and I think this is great, and I think everybody who's doing this endeavor is building a little community of people, and hopefully some like-minded ones, and hopefully people who in like a respectful, meaningful way engage in dialogues. If they disagree and try to have conversations about it and stuff like that, right? There is a point behind this. Like if you're like rational, and you put a direction to whatever you're doing. I've struggled with that, right? Finding my purpose or whatever in this whole thing. But I do believe in community, and I think there is like a point to all this. I genuinely believe that. Um, all right, here we are. Ambushed apostate Nancy discuss her husband and her attraction to Elliot. She says, like he seems to have some sexual trauma. I'm a very playful person. He's just kind of giggles and shies away. He's almost like a young boy. Maybe it's an Indian thing in general. Sex doesn't seem to be a priority. And he says, has it always been this way? I mean, have you guys been married for how long? Lord Jesus. And she says, yep, always been this way. He said the last part, sex doesn't seem to be a priority. She says, it's been almost a year, Seth, and I'm not kidding. See why I'm frustrated? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I see why you're frustrated, Nancy. I do. Um, okay. And she no, he continues there's consistent sex, that's not going to be possible for him for whatever reason. I would start drafting a plan unless you want to live like this indefinitely. And honestly, I think you're going to slip with someone somewhere because of the factors we've already talked about, and that gets really messy. She says, yeah, this may be the breaking point once he gets back. I'm hoping his father's death changes something in him. He says, not that you don't have self control, but you have some needs he's not meeting, and it's understandable. And then she says, yeah, and I really don't want to be a cheater. I'm barely holding it together. In 10 years, I've never faltered. Elliot came the closest. Elliot came the closest. With emphasis on that line there. I mean, it's a sad story. That is a sad story. Yeah. But yeah, not all the collateral damage you would cause by trying to cover this up, and close to cheating. Suggests the encounter was consensual on Nancy's part, and also I think it suggests. I mean, I'm going to imply there, insert that it suggests that sexual intercourse never took place. Right? I That's what I would infer from that. Um, yeah. And he says, I get it, my lord, you got yourself in a pickle. She says, see my dilemma now? How a young, cute flavor like Elliot caught my attention. Sometimes I really miss my wild days. And he says, so where does that leave you? She says, exactly. See how I found myself in a questionable spot in Nashville? And then John and KC know a lot about this. And he said, I assumed y'all had this porn star sex life, to be honest. Which I think he was alluding to earlier as well, reading those. So, yeah. Okay. And this one from Patty, wait, August 23rd. Um, so from Patty, August 23rd, 12:14 p.m. is at Hell's Bells. Says not just controlling but demanding, telling her how to do every little thing, telling her she's dumb in so many ways, and he had started trying to control me and the channel through her recently. Remember talking about the controlling husband now. and I've heard quite a bit about this. So he's not sexual, not given the D, and also controlling to boot. And how far does that go? Nancy safety. There we go. Yep, I knew it had to be coming. I knew it had to be coming. We've heard a bit about this as well. Back to the letter. Oh, if I can not do that again. You stop. You stop right there. Okay, Nancy safety. This is after she says, "This is what led me to flirting with Elliot in the first place." And then she names people. These people included, namely, AJ, Ways to Human, Helen, the Freethinker Fireside, Bree of High Psi, and Seth of Ambush Apostate. I got very close to all of them. Little do I know, all of them would soon turn around and tell lies about me. Right? Okay. And I think this will put this pin this right here, right? Because AJ is out there. AJ gave me this to release here, and AJ told me specifically that the original document, the one that I read on the last one, that contains a lot, but not all of this information, right, was actually responding specifically to lies within this letter that were made about AJ, and this is one of them. And so that was why I released the previous letter, and so now this is the full one, right? There were a lot of things that were omitted to protect Nancy and give Nancy the opportunity to come in here and actually, you know, I say something. Um, but nobody got that, and the people who are supposed to be supposedly seeking out like some kind of justice for her are running around trashing basically about everyone. Everyone who's here in this chat, I'm sure, has been trashed by these people, and probably others who aren't here, right? And I know that that person has a long history of doing that in various forms and ways, and probably a lot of you know that too, right? So this is just a new tactic from those people, from from them folks. Okay, so I just wanted to say that because, like I said, this is the first time that AJ and I have really had correspondence, and so there's a bit there, that I was like, okay, ask some questions, you get some answers, and it's all very straightforward. I have no reason to distrust AJ at this point, or question her motivations. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at here. All right, continue. After Jay's streams, we continued to privately express concern about Nancy. We did not betray Nancy. Patty made Nancy's story publicly available, which was followed by witnesses sharing statements to clear false allegations Patty had made. Jay Bundy's first stream with Patty was December 9th, 2025. So, trying to math here. August, uh, it's 5 months. 5 months. Just about something like that. Okay, and here's our correspondences in the chat. So there's a chat that was started concerning Nancy's safety. December 14th. Casey says, I'm not convinced that Nancy is steering the ship right now. Helen, same. I'm worried this may be re-traumatizing her and isolating her more. There was a road to redemption, but we can't do that if she isn't given a voice. And then I feel the only time she was truly herself was the first few weeks when her husband was gone and she wasn't speaking to Patty. Seems like it. And judging from the every account heard from before the event, right? That was the person you were talking to, and now you seem to be talking to a different person, and it does. It seems that way, by all of the correspondences we've seen here and stuff. So All right. From the statement, my husband and I tried to move on with our lives and forget this. We even removed every connection to the atheist community I had on every social media platform so I could have some peace of mind, and I stopped recording on my channel with no plans to return. Patty claimed Nancy's husband removed her access to communication, but later said Nancy removed herself from the community. Patty told some people that Nancy was safe with her husband, while at the same time pulling several people into a group chat called Nancy's Safety and accusing the husband of being controlling. The letter states, "We removed connections to the community." Given the different accounts, it is unclear how and why Nancy left the community, right? And I mean, I would argue leaving the community as a whole, even removing a Facebook page, is definitely a far cry from a. What? Definitely a far cry from. Oh, it's my earbud. I have to switch out. My bad. I thought my computer was about to die. It's like, nope, just your little headphone there. I have another one. Okay. And yeah, so removing yourself entirely from the community is a far cry from cutting contact with every single person, right? I would say, if I left YouTube today, there's going to be at least a couple few people that will probably remain in contact with long term. I would then the internet had a flux. I hope we're still good. All right, we're gonna finish this thing, I swear. All right, from Patty. Yeah, I've always assumed he could see anything. I send and she did too. Why were you using Super Chat mostly? Because those messages disappear by the next day. Fuck, fuck, fuck. She could really be in danger. And then here we're at August 31st through that one's September 10th. So there's issues. There's these correspondences are going on for um, month, a couple weeks at least. Um, KC, glad your head is doing better. Also glad you're meeting up with Seth. He's wonderful. I also hope Nancy is able to reach out to a few close friends soon. Right now, I just have to trust Patty when she says that Nancy is safe with her husband. And then Bree asks, this is later on, what about Nancy's safety? And the response, I'm not sure on that one. I know Patty claimed Nancy is safe despite telling others she wasn't safe. Bree says, I can't imagine this is going over well among the household, and I imagine her husband will see all the evidence, despite Patty starting a Nancy safety group on Discord and sending family under false pretenses to check on her. That means. Seth enters the conversation. Says, yeah, she's going completely silent with me too, and very abruptly. Patty says, I'm trying to figure out how far his control is reaching right now. She's been fighting for her autonomy in this marriage for years. Seth says she's let me in a little bit with some of the stuff going on, and she thought this may happen. Yeah. And my concern now is her emotional and physical well being. Patty says, okay, I'm glad you have a little bit of the backstory. So she is thanking him for the backstory, I guess. All right. Let me check something real quick. Okay, should be good over there. And Seth said, yeah, I know enough about it to know what's going on. That's not how she talks either, so I'm not convinced she even wrote that. Oh, this is in August. Patty says, hey Seth, I got this very concerning message from Nancy slash her husband this morning. Will you please tell me if she seems to still be able to talk to you? Okay, so this occurs after. a little confused on the timestamp because that says 9:30 and it says 8:34 of the same day. Um, okay, and then this is Patty and Nancy chat. It says Patty, for the foreseeable future, I won't be able to be on our YouTube channel. Uh, any messages you need to send me can go through this group chat, which is really weird. I don't know who. There's some character named Charlton. Okay. Side quest. Yeah. So this is like obviously her sister is saying she's concerned about this. Okay. Yeah, we got some fuckery going on about here, right? Yep. Definitely some fuckery. All right. Seth comes back. This is like a week later. Says, I'm just glad she's doing all right. Whatever all of that was happened very abruptly, and I'm just glad she's good. And Patty says, yes, very abruptly. I had harsh words for her husband's swift reaction to control her device. Yeah. And Seth says, yeah, that's totally not okay. There's no reason you should be completely controlling someone's communications. And Patty says, right, that was his knee jerk. Not good, but he relented pretty quick. So Nancy and I have our eye on his learning process, and she has full access. August 30th. Okay, and then now we're back at the 23rd. Okay, Patty says, I have a friend in Marshfield, Wisconsin that would drive to get her if needed and take her wherever. That's Helen Hills Bills, Port Charlotte, Florida. I have resources as far as getting her a plane ticket and all that if need be. So people are offering her to get her out of there, and her sister is on board with that at this point. And then, yeah, a few days later, she's like, no, no, it's good. We got this guy like clocked, but he did control her device. But I used harsh words. I had harsh words. Yeah. And now she has full access, but still not using it, right? So, okay, crazy, crazy, crazy. Continue. Patty and Nancy's letter claimed the community was cut off because we turned on Nancy. All the above messages were sent after Nancy cut contact on August 22nd. All right, a week after contact was cut, Patty uh, relays a message from Nancy to the safety group, sending love to them. Nancy Safety. It says, it sounds like there's some very open conversations happening at home. She knows she has a lot of support here, and that's definitely helped her. She sends love to everyone. And then she says, I also told her husband's first reaction to lockdown or communication was a very bad choice. She knows you all know his controlling ways now, and that you all are at the ready to help. And then Helen responds, we're here as she needs us. I hope she finds a path to heal what's hurting. So this is on the 30th, right? Oh, we're good. We're good. We just had to. All right, and here's the last messages between Casey Gleason and Nancy before Nancy cut contact. And I'm not gonna date there, but okay. Nancy says, "Okay, I'm good. I'm glad to see that he hasn't been kicked out of the ACA." And then he responds, I don't know the outcome of anything there, or if they are done, I'll check in with AJ. And she says, yeah, AJ has been a great advocate in all this as well. And then John says, I love her. I didn't really know her before this. I mean, I had interacted with her some in chats, but that's it. Okay. Yeah, same, I guess. And then she responds, she's a gem, a wealth of knowledge, truly an advocate for humans, as are you. Yeah. What? Wow. Did they send her to a camp or something? How do you get somebody to completely flip the script like this? Um, Completely. Oh my goodness. All right, but yeah, that's what it do. That's what happened. And John says, "You're so sweet. I don't. Oh no, sorry. I'm very sorry. This is Casey, not John. I'm getting mixed up. I'm getting I'm getting delirious. Um, I was like, John. Yeah, no, this is Casey. All right. So sorry, Casey. But anyway, I don't feel that way. I just try to do the best I can and be there for my friends. And then Nancy says, "You and John were the ones I truly trusted the most with my story, and I thank you for that." You and John were the ones I truly trusted the most with my story, and I thank you for that. I feel like that bears repeating. I won't do it like 5 or 10 times though, like other people. All right, and everything worked out better than I could have hoped for. Casey said, "Good. That's it. That's what everything worked out better than I could have hoped for." I feel like I should blow that up a little more. Now you can read it even better. See, if this doesn't cut anything off, I'll actually just leave it like that. I should have done more messing around before I started. The last messages Nancy and I exchanged the same day she cut communication with everyone. AJ, Nancy says, "I really wanted to thank you again for everything you handled for me these last couple of weeks." And then um, AJ's response, "I'm just glad I was able to help. I care so much about all of you, and it would have hurt so much to see you all hurt more than you already were. Elliot did great this weekend. He didn't drink at all. He just smoked his vape and kept saying he was just going with the flow. He was super chill the whole time. I hope you're feeling better physically and mentally too." And then August 22nd, Nancy says, "Hey, love, I just emailed you viewer access to my content creator contact list." Okay, we saw that a little bit ago too. And then, oh, no, there. Um, Nancy to AJ. And thank you for having such an amazing heart as well. I feel like you understood where I was coming from the entire time. This is the goal I wanted. So the same thing to AJ, the same thing to Casey. Actually, well, Casey said everything worked out better than I could have hoped for. And to AJ, this is the goal I wanted. Trainwreck AJ arrived here. We've seen a little bit of this before. Um, as it back up, looks like it moved. It moved on me. There are moving pieces on this here caboose. Um, all right. Trainwreck AJ. Um, let's pick up. Yeah, I'm gonna try to skip that little first. Anyway, this didn't stop people from trying to reach out to me. I received an extremely disturbing text from AJ Ruley on my cell, to which I had never given her the number or permission to contact me on. And not true. Nancy gave me her phone number in July 2025, and here's the evidence of that. Nancy says, "Woo, a lot of info. There's more details I could add, but let me know if you have any questions this far." Here's my cell. However, Nancy gave her husband my phone number without permission, and he contacted me. And then this one, she continues in the statement, she said unimaginable things such as, "I hope you're hurting," and how I was a horrible person for supporting Elliot before turning around and calling him a predator. Um, right? Which we saw that, right? That's basically the evidence we have. She went around saying, "This is what I wanted," and I don't want him to leave the ACA or whatever, all that shit. Wow. All right. Evidence. You got fucking receipts here. Got 10 more pages of fucking receipts here. It's crazy. Crazy. But we're still not going to go on for 6 hours fucking ranting into the ethers. Might hit 3, but keep going. All right, July 29th, 2025, a Tuesday. The first day I talked to Nancy after I was informed of what happened at NanoCon, I told her I hoped Elliot SR was hurting. I shared a private story about hurting a loved one years ago. I said my conscience was hurting and I felt horrible, so I hoped SR's conscience hurt in that sense. I did not know the full details of the alleged incident at the time I sent this message. And you can see it says, so I do hope SR is hurting. That is a good thing. The text I sent Nancy after the police investigation closed referred to that conversation. It was meant to say if our conscience hurts, we are more likely to do the right thing because we care. I urged her to tell the full story because she had left a path of destruction. I was hurt by her using me and had a human reaction. So here we have it September, so this is July 29th, and then September 13th. This is part of the text I sent Nancy, referenced in her letter. Nancy, this is AJ. When you told me about the NanoCon incident, we both agreed Elliot's response would reveal his character. Was he a flawed human who took responsibility or a manipulative asshole? The same standard applies to you now. This is your moment to decide who you really are. Someone who made serious mistakes and is willing to face them, or someone who chooses manipulation and dishonesty at the expense of others. The pain you inflicted on your friends is real, and it can't be dismissed by pointing to your own suffering. You shut out people who tried to protect you, those who knew the real truth. Then you misled those who didn't know the full truth, using them to save your marriage and avoid guilt and embarrassment. You drew vulnerable people like Stacy, Casey, and Helen into situations that forced them to relive their worst sexual abuse traumas. That is serious harm, whether you intended to or not. And then Nancy, is she responding here? Or is this the, wait, I can't tell if it's part of the same text or, it looks like this is sent from AJ's phone. It says, I told Elliot this when I first heard your claim, and I will say it to you now. I hope you are hurting, not because I want you to suffer, because if you feel the weight of this, it means you still have a conscience. I don't see that in your actions currently. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah. So now we're in September. And by this point, I think all these other characters are dancing around now, right? This is around the time the shit kicks off. What is going on with my thing? Okay, I'll just use this. I guess my little pad thing isn't liking my touch right now. It's really weird. It's weird. All right, one more. Continue with the statement. Um, She also insinuated that I had wanted to fuck Elliot that night and didn't get what I wanted. So I was trying to protect myself from my husband knowing. This was shocking, confusing, and I didn't know what she and yeah, so it says I have provided screenshots throughout this document indicating Nancy initiated the sexual encounter and had consensually crossed physical boundaries, uh, uh, suggesting her desire to engage in a sexual encounter with Elliot. Nancy also admits to being pushed into Elliot's arms by her marital troubles. Many of us were aware of this and followed her wishes of discretion before she cut us off and accused us of hiding things to protect Elliot. We have remained quiet to protect Nancy's privacy. That was what she said. She said she didn't want to make a thing of it. She didn't want to, yeah, she didn't want Elliot to leave the ACA or get fired. She didn't, and she got exactly what she wanted at the end of it. Except apparently she didn't, or other people didn't. I mean, I don't know. We don't know because she won't say anything, right? She's not saying anything. Maybe other people are just exploiting the situation. Seems like seems like something we might reasonably infer from these circumstances. But okay, yeah, yeah. Now, I will say, because this whole thing with the notary, yeah, I mean, because, yeah, you could just go get whatever the fuck you want notarized. But yeah, I think that person does have to do that, like sign a, you know, you gotta sign something. I had to do it once, but anyway, yeah. All right. And the statement continues, when I showed my husband the text, he responded to AJ directly and told her to leave his wife alone and that my sexual past and preferences had nothing to do with the criminal acts committed against me. Though I don't know what was said back, I know his phone was flooded with messages I had sent to all the parties listed. Her husband's phone was not flooded with messages. I sent one text response with screenshots of conversations between myself and Nancy to show that I wasn't making things up. I do regret this. I own my wrongdoings. When I sent that message, I was affected very negatively by Nancy's behavior and felt it was the right thing at that time. Explanations are not excuses. Good on you. Back to the letter. They actually told him that I liked men to rape me. I suddenly knew exactly where all this came from. I remember telling Elliot during one of our calls that I help women on my channel through their sexual trauma by suggesting they read dark erotica books in the genre of consensual non-consent. I've found that reading this type of literature has helped me before when trying to reclaim my autonomy from a religion that taught me that my body was not my own. Though not something I had ever done in real life or would ever do outside of my own husband, that is what that says. I made the connection and realized I had far underestimated just how low Elliot would go to protect himself. He convinced my friends that I was actually the one who wanted some weird sexual rape fantasy and that he was just giving me what I wanted that night. It was beyond gross to hear. Response: not true. Liked men to rape me was never mentioned. We have said Nancy is into consensual non-consent, or as Nancy referred to it, Glenda Jordan, uh, to Glenda Jordan, rape fantasy. Oh, so she didn't actually say consensual non-consent. She used the art. None of this information came from Elliot, came from Nancy, who has admitted this publicly on her own channel and privately to SR, Helen, and Bree. The statement says, people I've never spoken to chose to communicate through third parties in the form of train wrecks like AJ, Ways to Human, someone who was never directly involved. Well, never directly involved is false. I was the first person to hear something happen from Patty, 2 days after the alleged incident, outside of those who heard in person. They involved me. Certain people were told in person at NanoCon. Nancy and Patty uh, involved. Nancy and Patty themselves involved others online starting Monday. This would be July 28th, 2025, some of whom had been at NanoCon, such as myself. July 28th, 2025, Monday, 10:11 p.m. Patty tells me something happened at NanoCon. Here's the text. Hey there, I hope your travel home went well. I've had a migraine today, unfortunately, but I have to talk to you about something very serious. On Saturday night, Nancy was assaulted by secular rarity, Elliot. 10:30 p.m. I call Patty and she tells me more. We speak until 11:47 p.m. There's evidence of that. 11:54 p.m. Nancy emails a written statement to Casey Gleason. From Nancy. Hey John and Casey, I wanted to share something disturbing with you that happened on Saturday night at NanoCon last weekend. I trust you both completely with this information and... Following day, July 29th, Tuesday, 8:14 a.m. I contact Nancy. She forwards me the email she sent Casey. I talked to Nancy the next day and followed her lead as far as how much and how often we engaged. I periodically asked how she was doing if I had not heard from her. Sounds like a good thing to do. All right, we got July 29th. Sorry, the message from AJ says, "Hey, I spoke to Patty last night and I just wanted to say that anything you need, I am here and I support you. You have a crew on standby ready to come to your side. We all love you and will help you get through this, whatever happens. And if you need to not answer this message right now and take time to process things, that is also a valid response. Take care of yourself." And Patty Nancy responds, "Thank you, AJ. I appreciate your support. Yeah, it's been a busy few days. I'll certainly help keep you informed. Hugs and love back." And then so we go back here. She says, "People I've never spoken to chose to communicate through third parties in the form of train wrecks like AJ of Ways to Human, someone who was never directly involved. Again, not true. Nancy repeatedly asked me to speak to third parties and thanked me for it. The reason no one else heard about the alleged incident is because Nancy wanted it this way. We were respecting her wishes." Will these will these people ever hear it? No, they won't hear it. And there's definitely something rotten in Denmark. I'll tell you. I will. That's my unbiased, unfiltered opinion. I All right, all right. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right. We continue on August 2nd. Nancy says, "Thank you for talking to everyone. I got the sense that Redacted didn't like my Redacted. She also had very choice words to say about my Redacted. But yeah, see, it's still, there's other people involved in here. There's a lot of moving parts." Um, and AJ responds, "All the two of them have been the ones I haven't, all the two of them have been the ones I haven't talked to. I was very open and honest with people about my own experiences in the past." And then Nancy here again on the 20th of August. "Things are pretty good here. Husband is back home and very sick, but it's nice to have him back. We're heading up to Michigan at a friend's cabin next week for a little getaway. And I really wanted to thank you again for everything you handled for me the last couple weeks. You truly are an awesome person with an awesome brain. Haha, purple heart emoji." You can't make this shit up. Except, yeah, well, somebody's making some shit up. Back to the letter. "In organizations and board meetings, I was reduced to person A, as though I were some underage, fragile victim who couldn't handle discussing what had happened to me instead of revealing me as I truly am. A highly educated, confident, and successful woman in her 40s who's been through this many times before." Okay. Um, yes. The response: "This is framed as if it happened after Nancy or her husband cut contact with the community. This happened before contact was cut off at Nancy's request." July 29th, 2025, Tuesday. "Nancy and I discussed the protection of her identity, calling her person A. She was aware she and others were being referred to as different letters. Patty was referred to as person B, and so on. This was to protect Nancy at her request." Here's the message. "I'm glad you are, Heart. Casey texted me after speaking with SR, so I messaged him like 15 minutes later to tell him I was about to go to the ACA board to tell them, and if he wanted to be there, he could. He said he had actually just messaged Redacted to ask for a meeting, and they were about to go on. So we decided to combine the two. It was SR, Redacted, both the producers, and Redacted, board member I told you I fully trust. It was long, hour and a half. He right away said he wanted to protect you from any backlash and your identity, so we called you A the entire time. We called Patty A's family member. He told them a short version of what he recalled and immediately said that if they felt he needed to be dropped from the ACA forever, that's what he would do, and reminded them he's been scheduled for a show this Sunday and let them know they could find someone to replace him. So went in there, gave him his account. He had the counter, her statement that she wanted to go to the board, and he offered to step down. He was like, "Yeah, if you guys want me to take off, I'll take off." That was it. And she had said in those messages we saw, she said that she did not want that to happen. But then in her letter, she said that she did want it to happen. And now these fucking people out here, they don't even want, they're not even satisfied with deplatforming the guy who did it. They want to deplatform like everybody who knew him and, burn down the fucking ACA and shut down NanoCon. Just fucking destroy it all, right? That's a rational response. July 30th, 2025, Wednesday, from Nancy. Okay, the first one's from AJ. They had paid for his expense at the Bat cruise ship, and he was supposed to be on that show as well on Sunday. I don't think he's worried about that, but I was wondering so I can give the ACA some guidance on how to proceed. And Nancy says, "Thank you. Can you please pass along my decisions and outcomes with the ACA? I'd like him to still be involved in all those things as scheduled. As far as I'm concerned, this is now dealt with. He doesn't need to be punished further. And thank you for having such an amazing heart as well. I feel like you understood where I was coming from the entire time. This is the goal I wanted." Um, and it looks like this might be the top part of this message, where AJ says, "Okay, I hope everyone knows can be understanding of your decisions and not spread this further. Elliot did his best to keep your name and dignity intact, and that's what we should all aim to do as well. On my side, no one but the people." Um, there's a portion of that missing. So, but it sounds like they're saying that the people that needed to know. We got the results we wanted, and this doesn't need to go any further, right? She said she was good with it. Um, August 5th, 2025, 8:36 a.m. Nancy asked me to talk to Patty, who was violating Nancy's consent regarding decision making. I was shocked to hear on August 5th, a week after NanoCon, Patty and Nancy had not spoken for days. It appeared Nancy was not comfortable talking to her sister. They had a show recording that day and could have spoken face to face. It seemed Nancy did not feel safe speaking to her sister honestly and openly. And this is from Nancy. It says, "Hey AJ, I wanted to reach out again about the SR incident because you seem like the right person to talk to. I was wondering if you could speak with Patty. She and I haven't really talked for days, but people are telling me she's out for blood. She's furious and ready to cut ties with the ACA, and that could destroy everything we've worked for with our channel. We're set to come on Truth Wanted soon, and she may cancel it. She also removed our interview with SR on our channel without asking my permission. I know she's displeased with my decision to forgive him. She wants more accountability and consequences. Seth of Ambushed Apostate knows, and we've been talking daily. He's worried that she's not thinking clearly, only emotionally, and could make some bad decisions." Well, there it is. We have a recording today around noon, but she should be around sometime after that. Okay. Text between Nancy and Seth from Ambushed Apostate discussing Patty not respecting Nancy. Um, so Nancy says, "I reached back out to AJ. I think she's going to try to mediate a call between SR and Patty." Well, if that happened. And then Seth says that would be great if she's open to it. No, Patty declined speaking to SR. So Patty's the one with the problem here. So it seems. So it seems. And she knows just the fucking person to go and stir some shit up, try to create some controversy. Been known around these parts for a while to do that. That's about all he'd be doing, right? We're gonna go there. I promised I wouldn't do it, but you gotta say something. Say there's a reason it's come this far. There's definitely a reason it's come this far. We're approaching climax, so we just gotta get all the shits and giggles in there while we can. Monday, August 4th, 10:39 p.m. And wait, are these more between? I'm guessing these are more between Nancy and Seth. We don't have context for this one. Hold on. I guess it doesn't matter. So we can see whoever she was talking to. Oh no, I think so. She's back to talking to AJ in this one. Okay, August 4th. AJ says, you said Patty was pissed, but damn, she's about ready to start war with the ACA. And Patty says, oh boy. Um, and then AJ says, calm your, I think this is AJ, I'm not sure who this, calm your tits, don't go texting her. And she says, yeah, I know she's fiery. And we were just talking, but might make a drastic decision. I'm just wondering if she thought out the consequences, and I'm trying to figure out how to talk to her about it. Well, I mean, at this point, I think, going through a third party, I mean, I think there's, actually some possibly, legally actionable shit going on at this point. So it's potential, I think. Um, if we, but it's so hard to tell with all the between the insanity going on. But no, I think it might be legally actionable if we yeah, we'll go there another time, I suppose. All right, and then she says if she wants to start a war, she should take that up with Elliot himself. In response, I just hope she doesn't make a decision that's going to hurt you guys as a brand, but I don't want to downplay her emotions and hurt her either. Well, yeah. And then she says, "Yeah, I was worried she might. I didn't want her to lose everything she's worked for, and Elliot was helping her." Um, and in response, that's not fair if you want to do it. She says, she said she was still on board for that. Well, I don't agree to her pulling Elliot's interview on our channel either. Oh hell, I'm not starting sister drama, am I? Can you talk? And then she says, no, Patty just tends to go off the deep end sometimes. She'll blame entire corporations for the wrongdoings of one person, and I don't agree to that. And that's what she's doing. Nancy asked me repeatedly to speak to people for her. Claiming I was going around to orgs speaking on her behalf is false. She also asked me to reach out to a content creator she thought had made a video about the incident. It was not on August 5th. Nancy says, agreed. If Seth heard about this from Stacy, I can only imagine that he's thinking the worst. I would love for him to hear about this from you and your compassionate heart. And in response, I know that if she did tell Seth, it's because she trusts him, but it's a little discouraging to hear that others haven't respected your wishes, that it not go any further. And honestly, I mean, so obviously she can't do anything to stop Patty, I guess if she really wants to do it, but Um, she also has it in her power to say something herself, refuse to do so. So, what are you gonna do? Okay. We got from Nancy. Did you feel close to Seth? Are you two friends? Um, yeah, I'll let you watch and then decide. Might be nice if he heard the perspective directly from you. Okay, wait. The response was, I did notice he talked about witch hunt and everyone jumping to assume someone is a bad person, so that's a good sign that he pointed that out. I'm only about 5 minutes in. Oh, this is so she's talking about the video in which she thought that he was talking about her. And then she says, Nancy says, honestly, you're the person I've trusted the most throughout this ordeal, so whatever you decide is fine with me. I'm sure Seth will probably appreciate that I did get his message. All right, charges against Nancy. August 22nd, 30th, uh, August 22nd through 30th, 2025. All right, trying to enunciate words. According to the screenshots in Nancy's safety section of this comment, Nancy's husband seems to have found out on August 22nd that something had taken place. Patty indicates that's when he cut off her contact with the community. Patty, Helen, Bree, Ember, and Maya continued making plans to get Nancy to safety until August 30th. That day, Patty told them Nancy was now safe with her husband and suddenly stopped speaking to them. Well, ain't that about September 1st through 2nd, 2025, Nancy filed a report with the Tennessee Park Rangers. The investigation was assisted by the Dickson County Sheriff's Office. Is that I is that how that's usually done? I guess maybe out there that's what you gotta do. Tennessee Park Rangers, huh? Um, I okay. Uh, I find that interesting for some reason. Maybe it's just yeah, it's a cultural thing or something. September 10th, 2025, investigation closed and false report charges were offered against Nancy. So yeah, that's that's crazy. That is crazy. Well, yeah, you're going out like 2 months now. Why you suddenly decided? So look, if you look at the timeline where it's like, oh, after she talks to her husband, and then give it a week, and now she's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna cut ties with all these people and go press charges, and then give it a week, and yeah, no, investigation's closed. You don't have a case. You're we're not buying it. And by the way, do you know that filing a false report is a crime? Did you know? Now, did you know? Now you know, right? Filing false police reports is in fact a fucking crime, people. I'm sorry. There are consequences. I wonder what the statutes of limitations are on that. You know, but that's just my personal thoughts. You know, I I don't really want to see people getting dragged through fucking the court system and stuff. But you know, if you're going out of your way to make other people's lives difficult, maybe you should consider that people might do that to you. I don't know. It's just a thought. Just a thought from the old peanut gallery over here. Eating some bananas. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. But I feel like the evidence is so sky high here. Um, it's just yeah. You you can't just suddenly write this theatrical letter because you're a writer, right? And change your whole tone about the whole way things happen, and then expect people not to say, "What the fuck? What the actual fuck?" I mean, it would have been good and clean if she had like tucked out and then like, oh, I'm going another direction or something like that. This ain't for me anymore. But sh- the sister, the sister who she said is prone to this behavior is still out there, just moving around, still doing the thing, sparking up controversy, trying to spread it like wildfire, burn it all down. But these people really want to burn it all down? What do they want? What are they getting out of this? Are they getting more attention for themselves? Are they getting a lot of, sympathetic social justice warriors on the internet? And they'll be like, yeah, we need to burn this whole institution down. Who could condone such a thing? As a probably non possibly consensual not thing that probably I what do we believe about this story at this point? Where do the lies end and the truth begin? It's impossible to say. All right, we continue. Got the text messages from SR here. Hey y'all, I feel like you deserve an update. The detective sat with the DA today, September 10th, by the way, on the day of 12:33. Hey y'all, I feel like you deserve an update. The detective sat with the DA today. They have reviewed the evidence and statements already and even looked at video footage. They have concluded that the video does not match her statement and are considering pressing charges against her for filing a false report. They have closed the investigation and will not be pressing charges against me. We encouraged Elliot to file charges against Nancy for false reporting before the case closed. Elliot decided not to. And then he says, "Well, y'all think on it over the next day or two, and if you want, uh, wait, over the next day or two, if you want, and if all of y'all say yes, Elliot, you need to pursue charges, that will heavily influence my decision, and vice versa too." Um, and And Casey says, "If you want to just move on from it, let the state do what they do, but you drop it. That's reasonable. But if you decide you want to sue her, I think you'd be justified in doing so. I know you don't want any more harm to come to her, and that is sweet, but I'd also completely understand if you felt like clapping back. She would have been totally fine ruining your life, and that's fucked up." And yes, it is. Um, yes, it is. We continue. Elliot says, "As far as defamation or slander libel goes, unfortunately, you have to wait for those things to occur before you can press charges or anything." Well, I think we've reached that state at this point. I think we can actually talk about those things, and that might be a reasonable. Yeah, I think we might be there. And then he said, "And that would all be civil, so I need to get a different attorney, provide them evidence, etc., etc. My plan currently, if my views matter at all in this regard, I wouldn't even press charges of false report. I would rather this matter be done and done as possible. As crazy as it may seem, I still just want safety and peace for everyone. I want Nancy to continue to doing shows and things. I just want this to be put to rest for once and for all." So she said before the investigation that it was all good. Then it wasn't, then it wasn't. Then they had the investigation and they said, "We're not doing it." And then he's like, "Hey, I still hope she's okay. I'm not gonna do anything against her." Drew said she's not coming back doing shows. Maybe Patty will, but sadly, I don't think I could trust either of them. I have to do shows with them, but I wouldn't be against them doing them. And mind you, this is within, people participating in an organization. You know that because you're participating in that organization, right? Uh, and so I guess that's where that whole claim of conspiracy comes. It's a conspiracy. Obviously, no, I don't buy that for a second. This reads as a perfectly normal, rational human conversation on the topic. Yeah, and and handled very well, with dignity, with empathy, and yeah, that's my hot take. After the case was closed, Patty stated on Jay Bundy's stream, "He who shall not be named," that there was no video footage from the hotel and no false report charges considered against Nancy. The DA did offer to file false report charges against Nancy. After Elliot declined to file charges, the case was closed. But people around Nancy continued to spread false information and threats against witnesses. We suggested Elliot ask his lawyer whether the DA would be willing to reopen the case and file the charges originally offered. Email from Elliot's lawyer after the case was closed. September 16th. Elliot, I emailed the detective last week about getting something in writing. He was supposed to forward me an email from the DA. As for the video, unlikely. It's not technically discoverable at this stage in the process, especially since it's a closed investigation. He was only going to pursue charges against her if you requested him to. If you want to unpack that more, let me know and we can schedule a call. So, not likely to reopen the case, but moving forward, consequences, right? Might be other actionable stuff against Patty here for sure. I don't know about fucking Bundy, whatever that guy's doing. Um, he's better suited for a fucking rubber room than a jail cell personally, but I think all people are capable of, personal growth and improvement and change and stuff like that. So, Jay Bundy, if you're out there, if you ever listen to this, I hope you do better, man. Find what you need and get better, and stop spreading your bullshit all over the internet, and just try to be a fucking reasonable, rational human being. That's about it for me. All right, we'll go back to the response. This is from AJ. My closing statement. Seeking appropriate justice for alleged victims considers many factors: victim statements, witness accounts, photos, videos, texts, emails, and other forms of evidence. When Elliot told people to believe Nancy, it was because he had no memory of many parts of the night, alcohol-induced blackout. It wasn't an admission of guilt, it was a plea to believe victims. None of us had reason to question Nancy's statements at the time he said it. This document is not denying individuals got hurt. We know both got physically hurt, but how that happened matters. According to Nancy, most of the night she was less intoxicated than Elliot, her being tipsy versus him being extremely drunk. Witnesses confirmed this to authorities. A tipsy individual purchased drinks uh, for and initiated a physical sexual contact with an extremely drunk individual. From University of Tulsa, remember, if you are unsure whether someone is sober enough to consent, it is best to play it safe and not engage in any sexual activity. It is your responsibility as the person initiating the sexual act to obtain consent, even if you are also drunk or under the influence of drugs. Thank you for clarifying. At the time Nancy began to kiss Elliot in the lobby, according to her and all other witnesses, he did not have the capacity to consent, as he was severely intoxicated, described as incoherent and unstable on his feet, even falling outside. Nancy initiated the sexual physical contact in the lobby and recalled feeling she had asked Elliot to pull out his penis in the stairwell, indicating she was giving active consent. When someone cannot legally give consent laws in Tennessee, consent requires the ability to understand and voluntarily agree to the situation. Understanding when consent is legally invalid helps explain how courts determine responsibility and why these cases can unfold differently than people expect. Alcohol and decision-making capacity. Court assesses whether a person could understand what was happening at the time. Participation alone does not prove someone had the legal ability to agree. Impairment. Impairment level matters more than the amount consumed, with a focus on the effect on decision making. I see where we're going. I see where we're going. I think it's far fetched, but it could happen. Could happen. Nancy never described Elliot coming in contact with her genital area. She has never mentioned him unbuttoning her pants or putting his hands inside them. When Nancy describes her shirt being pulled up, she never claims he touched her breasts or genitals. Nancy did describe she felt she had asked Elliot to pull out his penis. She bragged to Helen and Bree about having touched it. Aside from kissing, the only sexual contact in this encounter appears to be Nancy touching Elliot's penis. I mean, there you have it. There you have it. Nancy gave us all the impression that Elliot. I see. I was going the other way. I was like, could we say that Nancy potentially assaulted Elliot, right? I mean, some could construe it that way. Look at the literature, right? Look at the law. Nancy gave us all the impression that Elliot stopped and left as soon as she gave clear verbal removal of consent. Even if the behavior was rude, it did not appear to be criminal. Yes, that is what it's. Even in the written statement, it reads like that. The allegation that Nancy was thrown down the stairs and choked is also unclear because Nancy stated to some that it was an accidental fall, which makes sense since she describes Elliot falling down and knocking her over in the alcove, indicating he was not stable on his feet due to his level of intoxication. Um, This document reveals several false statements about witnesses, which seem to attempt to make our statements less credible. The document demonstrates Nancy intentionally told different versions of the story to different sets of people, including authorities, at the same time from day one. Our understanding was that Nancy was protecting her marriage and safety. We followed her wishes for privacy. Patty and Jay Bundy made her story public against her clearly stated wishes. Um, and Jay Bundy claims that was really Sue Mommy. Sue Mommy made him do that, right? It wasn't really Jay Bundy. Some somebody had Jay Bundy's hand there. They were just guiding it around. Trauma is complex. I do not deny Nancy experienced something that night. An accidental fall which leads to physical injury can be traumatic. The shame of social stigma, fear of a husband's wrath, or the idea of being humiliated can all be traumatic. Actions taken in order to preserve your safety at home can be traumatic in itself. Yeah, true that. In the secular community, we should value accountability, honesty, and fairness. There is no question Elliot made the mistake of getting drunk at a public event. He has never denied it and has faced appropriate consequences. He was removed from his volunteer positions at NanoCon, removed from speaking appearances, and underwent therapy. This document needs to be analyzed and interpreted without bias toward gender norms. We must consider who had a responsibility to a severely intoxicated individual. We must be able to differentiate allegations of sexual assault versus simple assault, and whether the harm that came from this encounter was intentional or not. And I cannot agree with you more there, AJ. And we're notarized, right? There it is. There it is. The full thing. Um, yeah, these people. So I mean, there may be any number of actionable actionable things that have happened in the aftermath of this. Um, it definitely calls into question like how we handle making public statements about things like this. I suppose if you're in an organization, you have to deal with a thing. And it seems in the best interest of the victim that you would respect that wishes for privacy, those wishes for privacy. But on the other hand, you now we have experience. We've got some experience. There's going to be bad actors. They can still exploit the situation. They're still going to come out and mess around, go mess around. Um, Jeez. Yeah, congratulations, AJ. I mean, that was what dual PhD holder or whatever. I saw that video too. That was hilarious. Can't figure out when who's related to who, like the who's who in the story, and where's Waldo. Um, when it's like publicly available on the internet, it's crazy. But he's a super genius. He's uncovered the conspiracy. It's all white supremacy and the patriarchy just doing what it does. And we're just gonna keep doing what we do over here in atheist YouTube, whatever this is. But I'm like I said, I'm unaffiliated in that way. I know people from over there. I know you got Dr. Kip Davis over here. Um, Maya, I've known Maya for quite some time. Much love to everybody in the chat. I'm about to end this thing. I appreciate you, and I'm gonna do something else real soon. And it's whatever. They clap, we clap back. Um, I support atheist communities wherever they are. I think there's something valuable, and people running around with their gasoline can just trying to commit arson because they want attention is fucking ridiculous, and we need to call these people what they are. Jay Bundy, you're a fucking clown. You quote me, fucking write it down, take a picture, remember it. Everybody sees you. As far as everybody else, thank you for joining. Much love. Be kind, be well, and stay trusty. And an extra special thank you to AJ for giving me the privilege of doing this. I hope I delivered, but I guess we'll see. All right. Good night, y'all. See you next time.